All right, all right, all right. Thank y'all so much for joining me. And yeah, special shout out to our Christian friends. Special shout out to SJ Thomason for helping us out and Rebekah Davis. Thank you guys so much. And thanks to all the Christian viewers and subs who have been helping us out and paying attention to our friend Nancy's story. I'm going to get into the things I talked about on the thumbnail, but yeah, we're going to start with some more music that inspires me. This is a rapper by the name of The Truth. This is a real old video called My Reward. When I was a Christian, this was like one of my favorite songs. He was my favorite Christian rapper.
He is my reward. He is my reward. When I see his face, not worried about the things he'll say. It's I'll get my reward.
I'll give my reward.
And now I see the Christ my King. And he is my reward, not that. When I see his face, not worried about the things he'll say. It's I'll get my reward.
He got the band too.
I know I kept the faith. And now I see the Christ my King. And he is my reward. Everybody say. Fish, let's do it, man. Hey!
Let him know. Let him know how we doing. Let him know we can rap at church. Let him know we can rap about the gospel. Y'all ain't know we could get down like that. Y'all ain't know we could get down like that. Let's go. Take it away. What's up? What's up? Carlin Goucher. Marine, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome. We getting our worship music in real quick. We gonna do a worship set real quick before we get into the content. I'll give my reward. Now I see that Christ, my King. Come on, babe.
Keep your black and keep your gold. Keep your black card in patrol. None of that matters when I'm young. And I'm at its grown. Silver, gold, and precious stones. Was I faithful? Was my goal? Now it's glory all alone. I just act for gold and gold. Rats and track for war shows. Black no black and pure gold. Our reward is Christ alone. When I say the Lord, the reality is finally to be home. Quality to be shown.
Appreciate you. Have a good one, Kylan. Thanks, Poofy. Appreciate you. Now I see that Christ the King. He is my reward. Yeah, oh my God, I have not seen that in so long. Again, I just want to thank everybody for being here, especially our Christian friends. I mean, it's crazy. I was talking to my friend PC earlier, and we was thinking about how it's just been so depressing and upsetting that this terrible violent assault happened to our friend, and none of these atheist organizations or larger content creators are trying to show us any support or help out. But we reached out to some of our Christian friends and neighbors, and they answered the call, and they didn't have to be dragged kicking and screaming. They didn't have to be begged. They didn't have to be pleaded with. They just realized that we needed their help, and they showed up to help us. and it's really, really amazing. What up? What up? So yeah, thank you for being a friend. Appreciate it. I'm gonna pour myself some Hennessy. Got a little vape with me. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. I hope it always stays this way. Head is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow?
Invited everyone you knew. You would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, I'll be like, thank you, Christian. Thank y'all for being a friend. Thank y'all for helping us pull up on the ops. Thank you for loading your church van. Thanks for helping with the refreshments. Thanks for helping with the music ministry. We appreciate y'all.
Ashamed to say,
sharing is caring.
It all stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow? Yeah. If you throw a party and invited everyone new, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you. Hey, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Yeah. Thank you for being a friend.
All right. So now we're gonna get back into it. So I'm gonna show y'all some of the songs I've been thinking about covering on the channel to make like drum covers to kind of just say a little thank you, make a little content for our Christian friends. But this is a drum cover of "Who You Say I Am" from Hillsong Worship. It's kind of a good thing if like you don't get to watch this type of thing a lot, but this is the type of videos you watch. Like if you're a church drummer and you're trying to learn the songs for your church, a lot of times you watch these type of drum cover instructional videos to like learn the song. So so then that ends up being sort of like how you play the song. You end up playing the song pretty much like whatever version or cover you chose to learn for your ministry. So this is the version I played my last church. It's got some really nice cymbal work. It's like really bright. It's a really like kind of it's like a powerful ballad. I don't know. It's not quite a power ballad, but it's a powerful ballad. But I really love this song, and I really love the approach this drummer takes. Also plays a very similar drum set to what I played, and then like a pretty big size drums, huge cymbals. That's like the modern worship thing, is like big dark cymbals, big rock drums. Oh, I love this song. I love those guitars. Boom. Then we do this like march around the toms. It's really nice. For me, yes, he died for me. So nice. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In the Father's house is a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Not forsaken, appreciate you, Slow. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's not hard to play, but it's epic when it comes together, the song. But there is a bunch of different patterns to learn. Really nice build here. Wide open. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I love this part, this little breakdown. It just gives it a lot of space. And then like everybody's singing, everybody with their hands up, everybody be singing, it's go crazy. It go crazy, everybody singing along. Then this build is really nice. It's the instrumental section. But again, just a simple little march on the floor tom. But then you like build it back like one phrase at a time. Like you just made the pattern a little bit more complicated. Now he'll build it up a little bit more. Add the kick in. Just give it a little bit more energy. Build it up a little bit more. Add the snare and that other tom hit. Now we go to this is a straight build. But it's so epic, right? It can just keep building. One more time. Here comes the break. Ba, 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 boom. Now this one, everybody going nuts. Everybody's fully into it. It's wide open. Everybody's singing along. This is so much fun. We just be laid back, like listening. It's just everything's happening. You just gotta lock in. We out. And we out. Nice and clean. We out. Oh, it's awesome. It's so beautiful. All right, here's another one I want to do. This one's called Christ is Risen. This one, I don't know if you can hear the vocals that well, actually, but I learned it this way because I love the way he plays this. I love the way he plays this song. So dynamic, so musical, uses the kit so well. Supports the rest of the instruments so well. This is so nice. I learned it just like this. The way he hit the cymbals, everything. I did everything just like this. I ain't changing nothing. So yeah, you're out this whole first verse. You're just chilling. And then I think it's like the pre-chorus you come in, maybe here, I think. Yeah. And this is so pretty. That keyboard part, the piano part. That piano part is everything. Second verse. Now you see he just playing on the tom lightly. So you're there, but barely there, still in the background. The best church songs are all this way. They're dramatic. And they build up over time. This part is so nice. This part is so much fun. Bam! Boom! Hit the cymbals hard too. You can really play. You can really get into it right here. Right here, like we're playing full volume. Build. Christ is risen from the grave. Hallelujah. Christ is risen from the grave. The song remains the same. I don't remember all the lyrics. Christ is risen from the grave. Back. So nice. This is just they just rehearsing. Rehearsing is actually the most fun because there's no pressure. You just playing. Everybody just kind of chilling. You gotta be a little bit more formal during service. But rehearsal, everybody's kind of just laid back. Alright, here we go. We about to get real into it. Boom! Full volume. We laying in right now. No need to hold back right now. We in there. More symbols. More symbols. Bam! Start hitting it on the snare too. And it builds. Let's go! I used to always yell that one, that part right there. I used to love this. I used to always say that. Right here. Let's go! Right with this thing. Oh, I gotta hear it one more time. That's my shit. I love that though. I say that shit every time. Let's go! I love it. We in here, baby. Bam, bam, bam. Big Phil. Real straight, so clean. Love that fill too. I love playing that fill. And this one. And I hit the end in the same way. Same shit. Yeah, I love that. Oh, that was amazing. It's so good, bro. Thank you for that. I stole that. I needed that for church. Thank you very much. I got another one for y'all. This is my boy, Chris Strouder playing for Torrin Wells. This one's called Fully Known. This one got like an R&B vibe to it. It's dope.
And loved by you.
You wanna know, no matter what I do, not one or the other. I forget all the words. Try to remember the words. And known by you, I'm fully known and loved by you. I think that's it. Here we go.
It's so unusual, it's right.
Oh yeah, get it, Chris.
You see right through the mess inside me.
That's so pretty.
And call me out to
Pull me in.
tell me I can start again.
Yes.
I don't need to
Yes.
keep on hiding. Come on, sing.
Let's go.
I'm fully known.
Ooh, and loved by you. So smooth.
Won't let go. No matter what I do.
voice so smooth. This is so fun when they be talking so in the middle of the song. You just chilling, you just building it up.
He's the author and finisher of our
Oh, that piano.
He's not done with you.
Oh, that piano sound.
God's not done with you, even with your broken.
Damn, God not done with me. I'm an atheist. I'm on Team Jesus right now. We locked in. Let's go. Ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new around here. Ain't nothing but a thing.
So don't hide, don't run, 'cause God's not done.
Let's go. Woo! Oh my God. Let's go. Damn, that don't feel so good. And if that right there don't leave you fucking speechless with chills up and down your spine, congratulations, you're not a drummer. It's okay. Notice the safety. Notice safe decision after safe decision after safe decision after safe decision. Those are your priorities as a live drummer. Number 1, safety. Number 2, safety. Number 3, safety. Let's go. More safe choices. All right, y'all. Before we get into the content, I got one more for you. Let's turn up. I'm feeling it. I don't care what nobody tell me. I'm feeling it. You know what it is. You know what it is. Just playing the shakers. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Nobody say I'm into it. I don't give a fuck. Nobody say I'm into it. Hey, ho. In this electric atmosphere, let's go. Let's go. It's okay, you can still bow with it. Lift him up higher. For he is worthy. For he is worthy. Come on, sing it out louder. Give him the glory. Give him the glory. And yes, let's go. You are the reason why I celebrate. You are. You are worthy of the highest praise. You are, hey, oh. Freedom is here. And now's the time for letting go. In this electric atmosphere. This is my favorite part. You gotta get it. Go, come on and lift it up higher. He is worthy, he is worthy. Come on, sing it out louder. Give him the glory, give him the glory. You are the reason why we celebrate. They're going crazy. You are worthy of the highest praise. You are. You're awesome, Jesus. This is my shit. You're stronger. You are. Everything's so much better. Cause I know it's you meant together. He's a nasty bass player, too. I watch a lot of his videos. why we celebrate. You are worthy of the highest praise. You are reason why we celebrate. You are worthy of the highest praise. You are. Let's go. Oh my God. If that wasn't fun for you, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with you. You need some medical treatment. If you don't think that's fun, you need some medical care. Something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. Are atheists putting hedonism above humanism? Let's find out. What is SEXular humanism? I've heard of secular humanism, but what is SEXular humanism? And what is the kink cult crew? Christians, we need your help. We need your help. We talking about this NanoCon. Oh, this NanoCon is terrible. The sponsors of this year's NanoCon are Polaris Financial Planning, the American Humanist Association, American Atheist, Godless Engineer, or as I like to call him, Godfather Engineer, Black Nonbelievers, the Humanist of Tennessee, the Atheist Community of Austin, Secular Rising, Recovering from Religion, Secular Student Alliance, The Clergy Project, Americans United for Separation of Church and State Nashville, Things Squared Media, Stephen Barry LMT Massage Services, and Astral Pride. The featured speakers at this year's NanoCon include Matt Dillahunty, Promise Backlund, Hemant Mehta, Monte Mader, Fish Stark, Forrest Valkai, Candace Gorham, Glenda Jordan, Kevin Crow, Mandisa Thomas. Oh, new addition to the lineup. Oh, wow. Mandisa Thomas of Black Non-Believers in the house. Well, all right. I told y'all the ops are really about that life. Okay, Gail Jordan, partner of the internal investigator, Elliot Cantor, David Teachout, Sam McGuire, Will Judy, Jake Villa, and one A.J. Ruley, queen of the cover-up. Don't forget to visit the website on the thumbnail that was created by our friend Wayne. It's a countdown, let you know what's going on. Sorry. And again, that website is here. NanoCon 2026 alert.netlify.app. All right. And again, there are links in the descriptions for you to be able to read through our friend Nancy's 10-page notarized statement addressed to the atheist YouTube community about what she experienced at NanoCon. So please do check that out and take the time to read it. It's very important information. It's a first-hand notarized account from the victim herself. And as you can see, there are lots of people, the same people. You'll also see down there, there's a 35-page notarized statement from A.J. Ruley. A.J. Ruley has been one of the women instrumental in orchestrating and leading the smear campaign against the victim. And then this is Maya Adkisson, another woman that I used to be friends with and host shows with, who is now also one of the women central to the smear campaign and the coercive efforts against myself and the other whistleblowers. And then this is Elliot Cantor, who did the internal investigation, who decided that a report of someone being pushed down the stairs, sexually assaulted and strangled did not need a call to the police. And this year he's on the board. And again, he's in a long-term relationship with one of the featured speakers who's also in a leadership position at one of the sponsors, right? So there's conflicts of interest all over the place. This is Glenda Jordan. She is the daughter of his partner. His partner is Gail Jordan. Glenda is Gail's daughter. And you can see here that Glenda is, they have her advertised as the Legend of Glenda, Pixel Pixie Artist Entertainer, and Deviant Sex Educator. Deviant Sex Educator. Deviant Sex Educator. And the post is NanoCon is back, Nashville's favorite secular gathering where the only thing we worship is skepticism and maybe music. The Nashville Nuns Convention is a no gods, no masters get together for heathens and skeptical blasphemers. When Glenda Jordan's Southern Baptist upbringing met feminism and atheism, it was game over. She is a farm raised artist, fierce feminist, and full time patriarchy rebel who now blends sex positivity, activism, and creative expression into a lifestyle that would absolutely get her side-eyed at the Sunday picnic. A lifestyle. Glenda is a sci-fi nerd and kink-friendly deviant sex educator who is living proof that deconstruction can come with better outfits and way better hobbies. Come for the speeches, stay for the community, support, laughs, and high fives. Right? All right. Grab your fellow apostates and come raise some hell. Just not the apostate sisters. And if you do listen to this, grab your fellow apostates. Grab your fellow apostates. That wouldn't be like some sort of weird jab at, I don't know, one of the apostate sisters being thrown down the stairs. Nah, probably not. Probably not. I'm probably reading way too much into that, right? Grab your fellow apostates. One half of the apostate sisters was thrown down the stairs and the others having a smear campaign against her for speaking out about her sister. It's probably just poor word choice, right? Probably just a poor word choice. Atheists just want to sin. So then again, this is Glenda. Hope is her YouTube account. So she made a video about me. Apparently I'm a misogynist. You'll have to check it out. I haven't seen it and I don't intend to watch it. So but then here is her talk at last year's NanoCon, I guess, where she was giving polyamory lessons.
So, I made this meme. So
I guess she's showing us her partners or her.
And the bottom is the polyamorous group. Yay!
No, I guess this is a group. Right. So she's giving. So I guess she'd give poly. So I guess at last year's NanoCon, she was doing polyamory lessons, and this year I don't know, whatever the next deviant sex education thing is gonna be. And then here we have a dance routine. I call her Timu stripper fire dancer lady sometimes, and people are saying I'm a misogynist. So I'm just trying to show people what I'm working with, and they can decide if I'm a misogynist or if Timu fire stripper dancer lady is an accurate description. What's going on at NanoCon? I don't think this isn't NanoCon, fortunately. I don't think this is NanoCon. I don't know what this is. I don't know where this is. Okay. All right. And then this is what started that little nickname. And again, I do a lot of wrestling names and gimmicky type wrestling stuff on my other channel, but it is what it is. I'm gonna just we just gonna let the people see and let the people decide. We're gonna let the people decide.
Go, Glenda!
And yeah, I love the drumming for Dream Theater, by the way. So I just saw that. I'm just saying, looks like some kind of Timu stripper, fire dancer routine to me. That's what I see. I don't know. Is this what y'all do at y'all conferences? I don't know what this has to do with secular humanism or atheism or any of that. I guess we're just having some fun. Cool. Have fun with your deviant sex educator. All right. Thanks for all. There's her and AJ. Look, there's her and the queen of the cover-up. I wonder why he gives nicknames to the flying monkeys and calls them flying monkeys. And then again, that was her talk. So I had that pulled up, and then we pulled it up on the page, but I had it pulled up over here. All right, now let's talk about Drew and Stacey Beckia. So they're the hottest couple at NanoCon. And so Stacey is the woman who allegedly was the first person to I don't know, see Nancy or whatever after this happened, or one of the first people. I'm not really sure how that went, but anyway, that's what we were told. And then we did our first stream about it in December. If you wanna, I guess, learn more about this, if you're looking for more information, let me bring this other tab over here. You can go. Oh, there are links in the description. There's a link in the description to the playlist on my Pocket Locker 86 channel. But yeah, you go to the Pocket Locker 86 channel. And then you would just go to playlist. This community is rotten to the core. Yeah, that refers to the atheist community. I got a bunch of videos I got to add to the playlist actually, but these first ones are interesting. I put them up here because they're kind of like high priority things. But then the things you really want to watch is like 1 through 6. 1 out of 1, 1 out of 6, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 6. And then from there, it's just been like more coverage and stuff. But again, I don't expect everybody to like consume it at once or at all. Really, you don't really need to. You could just read the letter. You could just read her 10-page notarized letter. It'll tell you what happened. But anyway, so Drew is the husband of the woman that found Nancy. They call her Witness One or whatever. And then Stacy's mom, Stacy and her daughter. Sorry, Stacy and her mom Dee have a channel called Stacy's Mom's Podcast. So Stacy is Stacy and Drew is her husband, and Stacy's mom is Dee. And so Dee is the Stacy's mom of Stacy's Mom's Podcast. And so we did our stream in December, our first one, and then Drew dropped a link to it in his Facebook thread. And there have been over 161 comments replying to that Facebook thread. Here's Kelly King. She's from Black Nonbelievers. Here's Austin Sims. There's a whole bunch of people. AJ, Arden Hart, Ben, Chad, Harris, Bree, Troy Stober, Kelly King, Kyle, Kathleen. Like, this is the whole Flying Monkeys crew. And of course, John and Casey Gleason, they're in here. Lots of people are in here, right? So 161 comments. He did a stream on my channel where I went over all of it. At the time, I think there's like 156 comments or whatever. We went through the whole thread. I'll show you some of the highlights. So here's AJ Ruley, queen of the cover-up, leading the smear campaign. She's the person everybody's getting all this info from. She's always running around with her 35-page notarized smear campaign against the victim. What it is, it's a time capsule. It's her attempt to smear the victim by saying, look at how she wanted us to handle this way back in September and earlier, right? And then based on her trauma response where she was saying, oh, I forgive him, keep platforming him, don't worry about it, let's handle it contained, let's keep it in-house, let's keep it private. They're using that to say, well, now she can't come out later and say that this happened and that there should be accountability and that we should be doing more, because that's not really what she wanted. Eventually, she cut us off. She either cuts them off in September or earlier. She stopped talking to all these people. And then they're saying, oh, well, now that her husband made her cut us off and she's trying to save her marriage, don't listen to her. So then they start comparing notes and saying like, oh, she didn't tell all of us exactly the same story. There's all these inconsistencies. And, again, they have some pre-conference lore about her being in this unhappy marriage and she's trying to explore her kinks and she's in the BDSM and consensual non-consent literature. So she's really into this kinky stuff. And then at the conference, she was flirting with him and she liked him and she said she had a crush on him and they were making out and they left together and they came back in together and they were texting afterwards. And then the post-conference lore, she wanted them to stay friends. She became part of his support system. Right. And so there's this whole narrative. So anyway, in December, after we do that first stream, they're all in Drew Beckius's Facebook thread, dogpiling, victim blaming, and slut shaming our friend Nancy. And so here's AJ saying to Casey Gleason, who's godless engineer. I call him Godfather Engineer. John Gleason is godless engineer. Casey Gleason is John Gleason's wife. So she's saying to Casey Gleason, because Casey Gleason is like the other woman that's been managing the cover up and the smear campaign. It's been AJ, Casey, and recently Maya Atkinson. And then a lot of side characters. And so she says to Casey and the Drew, who's hosting this Facebook thread, I also want to add that Nancy's original statement said she gave no consent and that Elliot dragged her outside forcefully and that it all happened there at once. Evidence does not indicate that. She initiated the advances. People witnessed her kissing him publicly and very visibly at times against his will. The same witnesses saw them walking outside willingly, come back in fixing themselves, go back to the bar, and then continue the PDA, public displays of affection, and attempting to head to Nancy's room via the stairs. Now, mind you, she says continue the PDA and head to Nancy's room via the stairs. But actually, in Nancy's room, she was staying with her sister, Patti, the other half of the Apostate Sisters, and Patti's daughter. So they keep saying, oh, she wanted to fuck him. She wanted to take him back to her room, but she was staying in her room with her sister and her sister's daughter. So that seems a bit much. But again, either that's a bit much or somehow in their mind, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing to do at a conference. Just saying. All right. So then she says, she says, Arden Hart. That's Arden Hart from the line. Torben Hamilton. That's Dr. Ben from the line. He used to be student Dr. Ben. Now he's just Dr. Ben. Right. So Arden Hart from the line, Ben Hamilton from the line, and Glenda Jordan, fire dancer lady. Was it one of you, right? So now she's calling in the deviant sex educator. She's calling in the deviant sex educator to come help me slut shame. Hey, deviant sex educator, polyamory teacher, fire dancer lady, come in here and help me slut shame and dogpile this victim. Was it one of you that testified Nancy told you she wanted to take Elliot to her room? See that? That's called triangulation, right? Taking popular figures, taking everybody knows, and then using their credibility within the group to lend additional weight to your narrative, right? And she's literally summoning them. They get mad at me because I say they were summoned. Looks like they were summoned, right? They're tagged. What else? I mean, I could have just said tagged, right? But when you tag somebody looking for a response for them, right? And then specifically ask a particular question, right? I just used the word summoning, but apparently that was like way too far. So she says literally, Arden Hart, Ben Hamilton, Glenda Jordan, was it one of you that said Nancy wanted to take Elliot to her room, right? And then we could add the context and fuck him in the room with her sister and her sister's daughter, right? I don't want to give wrong info here, right? So she's literally saying, hey, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want it to just be relying on my word. Would y'all want to get in here and tell people that it's actually your word that this is what you saw, right? So she says, so her claim that she had not given consent is questionable here. I'm not questioning whether she withdrew it, by the way. She has a right to withdraw consent at any time, right? So then here comes Glenda, the fire hula hoop lady. She says, I feel compelled to share my thoughts. I sincerely hope you can remain open and receptive as this is obviously a charged situation. I don't even know where to start with that YouTube video. From the violent threats to the constant misogynistic slurs, it was difficult to get through. I will start with Patti's claim that Nancy was just, she's talking about our stream. There really weren't misogynistic slurs. What they were talking about is when we name names. We said that one of the young ladies that was on the stream with us called out a bunch of these women for not supporting the woman and not believing the victim, not standing with their secular sister. And she named cis women and trans women, but they said she was being transphobic for basically saying like, what type of women are you? And then they said she was being misogynistic. So they just said, instead of saying, actually, she was just saying that to some people, being a woman comes with social and political expectations, like solidarity when it comes to violence against women. And you may not agree with that. You may not like that. But she wasn't trying to strip them of their gender. She was saying something amongst women, right? Amongst women who are recognized as women. Hey, amongst us women, you fucking up the girl code. The girl code says you got to stand with your sister if you don't know what's going on. And y'all didn't do that. So here's a bunch of cis women that didn't do that. And yeah, here's some trans women that are included in that list of women. So she was including them in the group of women she was critiquing. But to make themselves the victim instead of Nancy, they just said, oh, she was being transphobic because she said that these trans women weren't really women. And then they turned around and said, well, she said that about the cis women too. Oh, well, then she's just misogynistic too. right? Because then that made it like an easy deflection. So that's what they mean when they say misogynistic slurs. And then we had originally said we weren't going to name some names, but then we started talking about the community level failure, and people noticed that, like, if you're going to tell us there's danger, you got to tell us who did what, right? So that was when Sumami said we should name names. And so I said, okay, if they die, they die. And then I literally explained on that stream that that's a Rocky. I didn't explain that was a Rocky quote, but I explained what I meant. And I said, if there are social consequences for their bad behavior being exposed publicly, then they have to live with those social consequences. And I explained that right then on the spot. But many of you may recognize that phrase. If they die, they die. It's a twist on the Rocky quote. If he dies, he dies, right? Which again, even in that movie, not only is it a movie quote, but in that movie quote, it's not about somebody threatening to kill somebody. It's a boxing match. It's a sporting event. And somebody just got knocked out in a boxing match. And, you know, they're interviewing the guy that knocked him out afterwards. And he just says, if he dies, he dies, which actually is perfectly legal in the sport of boxing. Because again, it's licensed combat for the sake of sports that have been approved by a commission. And those professionals have actually signed their life away. So even if it is not signed their life away, but they've gotten licensed to commit to participate in an activity that is potentially very, very dangerous. That does not apply in this situation. So anyway, people have literally been trying to get me fired by sending my supervisors this like clip and saying that I like threatened their life because of a fucking Rocky quote. And then calling me and the other whistleblowers transphobes and misogynists because a woman called out other women and included trans women and cis women when doing so. But these are people with severely disordered personality traits. So people have to stop expecting rational behavior from people who are not capable of it. Anyway, she says, I'll start with Patti's claim that Nancy was just flirty. That's not what I personally witnessed. I genuinely almost got up from my table outside to intervene on behalf of SR. That's Elliot, the Tennessee Strangler. Martin, SEXular Rarity, they call him SR, because she was so aggressive and handsy with him, and he was turning his head to avoid French kissing. Later, they left together hand in hand, every indicator of going to enjoy a consensual experience together. And I even texted a friend at the time to that effect, noting relief that it seemed mutual and not just Nancy pursuing one-sidedly. I don't like publicly sharing that information because, as the detailed screenshots have been shared here, this was apparently all in the investigation and report that happened. Although, again, this would be private information that we need to hear from Nancy. It has nothing to do with me and feels invasive on Nancy's behalf. But if all these claims are going to be screamed out on this YouTube video, I feel compelled to address the ones I happen to have personal information about. I've been involved in various progressive communities for decades now. I have seen this phenomenon happen multiple times. An incident occurs and a boundary is violated. The people involved work it out and reach resolution. But someone decides they're going to make it their own personal crusade and wave around the victim's trauma for their own benefit and center on themselves. It's virtue signaling to a degree that there needs to be a different word for it. So it's so harmful and disgusting, as again, it utterly bulldozes over the victim. Again, this is accusing the victim's sister and the whistleblowers who were acting with the victim's consent, and the victim would later release a 10-page notarized statement saying exactly the same thing that they were saying. But they're saying the victim's sister and the whistleblowers bulldozed over her consent, not the man who pushed her down the stairs, sexually assaulted her, and strangled her. From the screenshots shared here, Nancy is not being consulted for this, right? They're basically saying if it can't be demonstrated to them that Nancy's given. Now, mind you, she cut them off. Imagine going through something. You get in with a group of friends. Maybe you feel they're supporting you at the time. Eventually, you feel like they're not. You decide to cut them off. Now, you live in your life, recovering, dealing with it, working through whatever with your relationship. You and your sister get back on the same page. You tell your sister, yeah, you could talk about my story. Please help me bring some accountability because I didn't get justice from the legal system. So if you're down to try to help me get some accountability from the online community, that'd be great. And now here come them same mean girls that you cut off because they was mean girls, telling you, no, nobody should listen to your sister. Nobody should listen to the whistleblowers unless it can be proven to them that you gave permission to your sister and other whistleblowers to share your story. Can you imagine that? That's what we're dealing with. Real talk, that's really what we're dealing with. It's that bad. It's that bad. It is that bad. It is that bad. We wake up every day like, this can't really be happening. This is really happening. I promise you. Where is she? Did she consent to this video? And literally she did, but they don't care. This is such an egregious violation of her privacy. She's thanked us multiple times. She has thanked us on multiple occasions. Hey, Michael. I'm just trying to break down for the newcoming Christian viewers, like the whole weird sex, the hypersexualization of the space, and the way the people involved in that are continuing to promote this stuff and showing where they have been dogpiling and victim blaming Nancy, and then pretending that we're the ones who have been harming her. So where is she? Did she consent to this video? This is such an egregious violation of her privacy and her wishes for what she wanted, as others have pointed out with receipts, right? So that's the time capsule, right? It's the same thing you'll see in AJ's notarized testimony. That's them going back to September, going back to August, saying, look, see, in August, she didn't want to say anything. Look, see, in September, she didn't want to say anything. It's either mid-September or earlier. You'll notice that with all their quote unquote receipts. Everything we did started in December. Here we are in May, right? In February, late February, she drops the 10-page notarized letter consistent with everything we've been saying since December. And they're saying to everybody, don't listen to anything they've said to you since December, because way back in September, in the before times, yeah, she didn't want to talk about this. So rather than give her sister the benefit of the doubt and give them whistleblowers the benefit of the doubt, they actually are acting consistent with her wishes. Nope, that can't be possible because they can't prove to us she said it was okay to talk about her story, even though she has. Even though she wrote a 10-page notarized letter saying, me and my sister will not be silenced. Literally saying, I am speaking with my sister. Literally saying, hey, you want to help me out? Talk to my sister, work with my sister. Literally saying, I typed this as my last testament to the atheist community. Then they're going, she doesn't have it. Nobody has her permission to talk about it. She said, I am writing this to the atheist YouTube community. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. Again, they keep saying, they don't have her permission. They don't have her permission. They don't have permission. She's personally thanked us on multiple occasions. They don't care. They don't care. You could watch last night's stream. Her sister Patti was in the stream here last night. Why would she be in here supporting the content if I was harming her sister? But again, in their head, it doesn't matter because Patty's lying. And so Patti would just be in here supporting me harming her sister because I'm going along with what Patti wants. So that's the way they play it. That's the way they play it, and they're never going to stop. I'm so concerned for Nancy, and this video, again, is such a disgusting violation. At the bar, Nancy expressed sexual desires and private information with me that has direct bearing on what happened, and while that context matters, I will not be sharing those details here as it would be unethical to do so without her consent. And again, she literally, a couple paragraphs earlier, says, I will start with Patty's claim that Nancy was just flirty. That is not what I personally witnessed. I genuinely almost got up from my table outside to intervene on behalf of SR because she was so aggressive and handsy with him, and he was turning his head to avoid French kissing. Later, they left together hand in hand, every indicator of going to enjoy a consensual experience together, and I even texted her friend at the time to that effect, noting relief that it seemed mutual and not just Nancy pursuing one-sidedly. Notice they're even telling you they're gossiping about her instead of intervening. And then goes back and says, I'm so concerned for Nancy in this video is again such a disgusting violation. At the bar, Nancy expressed sexual desires and private information with me that has a direct bearing on what happened. And while that context matters, so I have more information that matters, I will not be sharing those details as it would be unethical to do so without her consent. But no concern for all the shit she just said a couple paragraphs before. That's the world these people live in. It doesn't have to make sense. I learned this about narcissistic people a long time ago, or not too long ago actually, but it feels like a lifetime ago now. I'm a rape and sexual assault survivor. They're always playing their victim card. Multiple incidents. I've had failed scenes, almost like it's a badge of honor, but they're literally using it to victim blame. Multiple incidents. I've had failed scenes, been bruised and violated and traumatized. There are people out there that foam at the mouth at being able to crusade on behalf of victims that do nothing but further violate them and center themselves. That is not victim advocacy. Never said it was. You are not making spaces safer. The idea that we wouldn't metaphorically chuck SR off a cliff based on the way it was framed in this YouTube video is absurd. We would absolutely cut all ties. We've done so on numerous occasions for people we love, trusted, and respected. So for far less, I believe you're coming from a place of justice and kindness. I trust and believe that your desire is to decrease harm, but that is not what's happening here. So again, they're dogpiling not just the victim, but the guy who was trying to bring awareness to the content, letting the community know about it. That's why there's over 160 comments on that Facebook thread. It was them trying to cope and really trying to get him to take that shit down and stop talking about this. They were saying why, they were mad. Like, why would you do this? Why would you take that video that just implicated all of us and promote it and drop it here on your Facebook? So they just all jump in there telling him how much we got the story all the way fucked up. And so you can be the judge for yourself whether I'm being unfair to these people or whether in fact they were summoned to join in the dogpiling and the victim blaming, and that's exactly what they did. And then we have Arden Hart from the line. And then she's adding Glenda Jordan. So she was summoned to give a narrative. And not only did one of the three show up, all three showed up. So Arden Hart tags Glenda and says, I just want to second everything said here by Glenda. I was also at the table and witnessed everything alongside her, and my recollection was exactly the same. I haven't been following the fallout super closely after the fact, but that's what I saw. I would probably have believed and taken Nancy's word for it if I hadn't witnessed what I did myself. I would probably have believed and taken Nancy's word for it if I hadn't witnessed what I did myself. I would probably have believed and taken Nancy's word for it if I hadn't witnessed what I did myself. Does that not sound like victim blaming to y'all? Oh no, you can tell me. You can tell me. You can tell me. Here's Dr. Ben, Torben Hamilton. I was at the table with Glenda Jordan and Arden Hart and remember the same. I haven't had the energy lately to weigh in because I don't think I can articulate my thoughts very well. And then we come to learn that Dr. Ben, well, I knew at the time Dr. Ben is actually best friends with Bre, who's also one of the Flying Monkeys. And he's apparently best friends. He was roommates, with Bre. And he's apparently best friends with the assaulter, Elliot. And Bre said, I could read the message I got from Bre originally. Ben and I talked that night before any accusations at all came forward, right? So she's citing her roommate. She's saying, Dr. Ben and I talked that night before any accusations at all came forward. He told me that Elliot and Nancy were super wasted. Now we get this thing. They always say Elliot and Nancy were super wasted. Elliot and Nancy were super wasted. See right there. Elliot and Nancy were super wasted. So that's Bre saying they were super wasted, and she's saying she knows they were super wasted because she talked to Ben. But then at other times they say Nancy was sober and Elliot was super wasted. So Nancy actually took advantage of Elliot. But here, Dr. Ben is saying Elliot and Nancy, see, they didn't have a story as together as they think. And now they just keep correcting it and updating it to get it more in line. And then they've got to clean up all the stray details. They've got to clean up all those loose ends. And so you can see them documenting, if you watch the coverage and the streams and all that shit, you can see it happening in real time. Like when you could look in our description, I have AJ's original thing she was sending out. That's like 17 pages. The thing she got notarized was then like 35 pages. because again, she had added a bunch of new things that she now wanted to dress, a bunch of new ways she wanted to massage in loose ends. And then when she sits down with Casey to do this 3-hour stream going through it, that allows them to sit there and coach their audience and their followers on, here's the story, here's how we tie this loose end together, here's how we make sense of this, here's how we make sense of that. So, but you can go look at the links in the description. So she says, Elliot and Nancy were super wasted, making out and heavy petting in the common area, making everyone uncomfortable. So I guess she's hearing this from Ben, right? So they got up to go to the room, and Elliot talked to Ben about whether it was a good idea or not. Ben told him it was not, right? Ben told him it was not. Ben told him it was not. Dr. Ben told his good friend, Elliot, it was not a good idea. And then again, they were supposed to be going to the room. And again, that's supposed to be Nancy's room. But again, she was in that room with her sister and her sister's daughter. Ben told him it was not before they left together. Now I'm fully willing to believe Ben on this. Arden told me the same thing. So now Bre's a second person that uses the same two characters from the line to triangulate. Right? Bre says, I got this from Arden and Ben. And then AJ says, Arden, Ben, Glenda, didn't y'all tell us Nancy wanted to go back to her room with Elliot and fuck? And then Glenda's like, yeah, that's what I saw. Arden's like, yeah, I saw the same thing. Ben's like, yeah, me 3. Multiple instances of triangulation right there. And then here comes the college engineer, John Gleason. I don't know, man. I felt irresponsible as a womp womp. You shared a video where nearly everyone in this comment section is described as a, quote, flying monkey. Again, that's the psychological phenomenon of the people who are carrying the narrative of the assailant instead of the victim or the narcissist. That's their behavior. That helped protect the dangerous predator. They did help protect the dangerous predator. Some of whom were directly named. Casey Gleason, right? That's his wife. He says, Casey Gleason and I were brought up in live chat as being responsible. I say Godfather engineer because there are people like Drew Beckius who are allegedly so afraid of godless engineer and his wife that they're afraid to speak out against them. And then we've heard from another content creator named Durante that there's this couple who I'm surmising is John and Casey Gleason that over the years, he said there's been at least like 5 times there's been a big incident in like a smear campaign, and the same couple is at the center of it every time. The same couple every time. The same couple every time. John and Casey Gleason. And that's why I call them Godfather and Godmother engineer. So he says, Casey Gleason and I were brought up in live chat as being responsible. And they're also on the line. They're also a host on the line. Not they. He's a host on the line. So, like, I get that you want to have a wider conversation about this, but this video ostracizes those that actually put Nancy's wishes first. We actually sought to protect her and respect her, right? So they're doing the smear campaign, but they took, but they take credit for being her support system. We actually sought to protect her and respect her, yet this video seems to indicate that's not what we did. It's a gross mischaracterization, and you'd know this if you bothered to even look at the text messages. Seems like you didn't, though. Because none of us are saying something didn't happen. None of us are saying that mistakes weren't made. So framing your response as if we are is disingenuous. You don't address how those disparaged in the video were actually putting Nancy first until her husband found out and her narrative changed completely. Then what seems like under duress and pressure from both her husband and Patti did she file charges that almost resulted in false police report charges. Yes, I've seen the video evidence to prove this, right? So this is godless engineer saying, under duress from her husband and Patti, right? So saying that she wouldn't be filing these charges if it wasn't for her husband and her sister. So she's not filing charges because she wants accountability for being pushed down the stairs, sexually assaulted and strangled by Elliot Martin, aka SEXular Rarity. She is filing charges because she is being pressured to from her husband and her sister. in the end, this video and your response comes across like I know better than Nancy about what she experienced, what she needs. And I think everyone should be talking about the thing that happened to her instead of respecting her wishes. Again, Drew, I think a more reflective response to the real evidence versus the video is warranted here. I get, and again, this was their opportunity to unload all that real evidence in their text messages, in their witness statements, right, in their accounts of what they saw and what they know. So they all dogpiled on her and dropped all their receipts and all their witness statements and all that shit. Again, Drew, I think a more reflective response to the real evidence versus the video is warranted here. I get you want to have a conversation on consent, but SR respected her consent, even stupid drunk. So again, notice how SR, secular rarity, the assailant, is the one who respected her consent, even though he was stupid drunk. And then again, the reference to Sumami's transphobia. And as far as transphobia, the TERF Sumami listed off some women, including trans women, and said they weren't women. Maybe re-listen to the bio you shared, even noting there that the list included cis and trans women. And then he emails me directly. This was the night of our first stream, saying, Jay, before you do your stream tonight, you should know that Nancy and Patti are lying. John Gleason from Godless Engineer sent me an email trying to stop me from doing the stream by saying, you should know that Nancy and Patti are lying, telling me the Apostate Sisters are lying. Again, you can read Nancy's 10-page notarized statement and you tell me if you think she's lying. And then you can listen to what Patti has said on the Apostate Sisters channel about it, and you tell me if you think Patti is lying. And there's a lot of evidence demonstrating. So initially we were on Nancy's side of this until her lies started to unravel her story, which led to the police not only dropping charges against Elliot, but also wanting them to file charges against her for filing a false police report. If you want more of the story or evidence, let me know and I'll get it to you. So then there's this long message from D. Murphy, Stacy's mom. She says, thank you, Drew, for speaking logically and kindly to both sides. So notice how this is supposed to be the secular humanist community, but they're both siding this assault. And she goes on to glow about him, as if I needed any more proof you're the man to stand by my daughter and influence the future of my 3 grandsons. Speaking as a victim here now, I will say only this and this about me. I did and said some of the craziest crap to protect my abuser/assailant. And to this day, I don't know why. I think because I was ashamed and I let it happen. Maybe, I honestly don't know, but I'm disappointed when I see comments like she was flirting. To me, that's the same thing as saying, well, what was she wearing? That takes us back decades and decades in time. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't even have to be referring to this particular matter at hand. I just can't believe that anyone still says those kinds of things when it comes to this kind of situation. I feel like we're just taking so many steps backwards. I'm sad. And I also think you're right, Drew. In this day and age, we have become so accustomed to seeing everything on camera that if we don't see the actual violence with our own eyes, we just don't believe it. And that's gross. And then she comes back at 4 a.m. to make an edit. Here's my edit. All the cool kids are doing it. It says, this will be the only thing I say on the entire matter publicly. I will not get into a back and forth with anyone. It's too exhausting, and I'm just not going to do it. I also don't have the time to live on Facebook. It's 4 a.m. as I write this, and I'm up for work, and I went to bed at 1 a.m. after working all day and evening. I was up 22 hours yesterday. The other thing is, believe it or not, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. So if I'm wrong, I'll own it. Okay, bye, guys. Right now, for me, this feels like, for some reason, again, she got swarmed after making her post, had to come back 4 o'clock in the morning and say, okay, I'm done. I'm never going to talk about this again. Don't worry. I'll never speak about this again. And yeah, I just don't have time for this anymore. Bye. Again, why would Drew and Stacy and Dee from Stacy's Mom podcast, why would they not speak out about the trauma they saw from Nancy? Drew, in this post, at the beginning of the post, you can read it. He talked about it. He talked about how he believed her based on what he saw. Our friend Becca on Faith Exposed, she covered that part of this thread, and I've covered it here on previous occasions. but nothing publicly, and nothing, not a peep after this. It's almost like he was testing the waters, and man, they all ganged up on him, and whoop, they shut that down, silenced them real quick. This is our friend Faith Exposed, Becca. This is the one I was talking about. She said, "This is all concerning. I don't want to have to give up on the line, but I will if the key figures remain silent on the trauma that Nancy endured and the harassment that Patti and the other whistleblowers have received ever since. Patti is trauma informed and understood what her sister was going through and knew that simply asking her if SR is safe wouldn't be sufficient." Yeah, because at some point they ask her if he was safe, or she tells them he's safe or whatever. She says, "Women's lives matter. Nothing Nancy did warranted the way she was treated and left alone in the hallway." Oh, this is where they say, I guess they're getting this claim that we say she was left alone in the hallway. I don't think that's an important claim here. Let this not be a men's rights movement with women suffering behind the scenes, as it was headed to before Jay and the others have spoken out. Oh, it's turned into much more of a men's right movement since then than it was before. Here's Ember Belrad, the founder of that Astral Pride that's now a sponsor of NanoCon. "I was 100% ready to drive to Indiana to see if Nancy was okay because the immediate concern was that her husband had found out and become violent with her." Notice, they're going to drive to save her now, but not from SR, from the husband. Then some additional facts came to light. There's a lot, so I'll get right to the most important part. There's hotel security camera footage. The story isn't true. Now, there is allegedly hotel security camera footage. People saw cameras in the lobby, and they saw them all over each other making out, whatever they think they saw in the lobby. But they tried to get slick with us and say, "There's hotel security camera footage. The story isn't true." They tried to infer that there was video evidence to prove that it didn't happen. You'll see this on multiple occasions. But again, I made the point that the only way hotel security camera footage would be able to demonstrate that the story wasn't true would be as if it was in the stairwell, right? Because I kept saying the whole time, everything they say is before what happened in the stairwell or after what happened in the stairwell. They can never refute what she says happened in that stairwell. It's either all before the stairwell or after the stairwell. So Ember thinks she's being slick, and she's going to come say, "I'll get right to the most important part. There's hotel security camera footage. The story isn't true." So then when I say, well, they're acting as though there's security camera footage in the stairwell, they act like I'm being dumb. And then they go, "Well, we never said that." No, you didn't say that. But again, I wasn't born yesterday. Matter of fact, I'm a college professor. So yeah, part of my job is recognizing when my students think they're being slick with their words, but they're really not. It's kind of a professional hazard. So then I go to Maya's sloppy work, and for her contribution the day of the first stream, she says, "Hi Jay, is your stream about SR, right? Secular Rarity? If so, notice how one of the sponsors of NanoCon is called Secular Rising. That's the organization Secular Rarity started. Secular Rarity, SR, started an organization called Secular Rising, US, SR, right? And then they let him slide out the back of that, but now his homies and his friends just run it instead of him, right? So he could just get the handoff on the backside. So this is Maya. She hosts a show called Bad Science Sunday with I don't know, some PhD guy, I forget his name. And she hangs out a lot also with Kip Davis and Nitty, because they do some Bible study thing. And I think she hangs out too with like the Java and Jugs crew a lot. I don't know. I don't really watch these channels. But Maya and I used to be friends, and we used to host a show on Skeptic Haven called Black Free Thinkers together. So Maya says, "Hi Jay, is your stream about SR? If so, I'm really concerned that you don't have all the information. This is real." So she says, "This is real." And she sends me a message from who? KC Gleason, right? KC, Caitlin Chloe, right? So here's Maya Atkinson, one of the other ladies that remember I showed you who was doing the community safety stream. It was Maya Atkinson, I said she's involved in the cover up. AJ Ruley, I said she's the queen of the cover up, right? And Elliot Cantor, he was the internal investigation guy, right? So literally the people who were doing the cover up, the people who were leading the smear campaign are turning around telling the secular atheist community, no, we're the conference safety team. We're the people who are going to protect you at conferences. Let us tell you how great we are at protecting you at conference safety. But yeah, so this is that same Maya, again, citing Casey Gleason. Notice more triangulation, right? Notice how they use each other's reputation and each other's status and position in the community as leverage for their smear campaign. So she says, so she has this message from KC where KC says it absolutely is serious when someone files a false police report. So now they're saying Nancy filed a false police report. But again, if there was video evidence that she lied, they would have evidence it was a false police report and they could have just charged her. But instead they keep going, oh, they suggested that he charge her, but he decided not to. But anyway, she says it's absolutely serious when someone files a false police report about sexual assault and video evidence proves they lied. So again, I didn't say that they came out and said, oh, we've seen video evidence of the stairwell, or oh, I know there's video of the stairwell, or I've seen videos. No, but again, if video evidence were to prove she lied, again, it would have to be of the stairwell. Because, yeah, okay, maybe she was giving him a blowjob in the lobby and they had sex in front of everybody. But then after they had sex in front of everybody, yeah, they went in the stairwell and he pushed her down the stairs. Oh, well, they came back in together. Again, they could have came back in together hand in hand. She could have given him another blowjob and fucked them right there in front of everybody on the lobby cameras. Right? And that would have nothing to do with whether or not he pushed her down the stairs in the stairwell. Matter of fact, him pushing down the stairs in the stairwell and her fearing for her fucking life might explain why she'd be willing to fuck him in the lobby in front of everybody after he allegedly pushed her down the stairs. But my point is to say, if you're going to say video evidence proves that Nancy lied, it has to be in the fucking stairwell. You don't have to say that directly, but we know where the alleged incident took place. And so once we know where the alleged incident took place, the only video footage that could prove it didn't happen has to be footage in that place. But again, they're trying to be slick and use, oh, there were cameras in the lobby. And they ain't even seen no footage of the fucking lobby. But see, they were there. So they're saying, oh, we were there and we saw their cameras in the lobby. So that means there must be video evidence of what she did in that lobby. And we were there, so we saw it. And again, we've heard that she did some shit with him in the lobby. We're not really going back and forth over that. They don't want to address what we really said. So I have to show you that, because when you read AJ's statement, and if you watch like the stream on her channel where her and Casey go over her 35-page notarized statement, you'll notice they're all going back to this before time, right? And you got to understand the game they're playing. They're trying to say that we said that they're flying monkeys because they tried to cover it up after it happened in last July. Now, we have been saying the organizations did not handle it properly last July, and people allowed her and him to have inappropriate contact. And, you know, when the community narrative of convenience emerged and aligned with her wishes to, you know, maintain it in-house, that was an indication of community failure. Because rather than really supporting transparency and justice and true accountability, when it was convenient for the community, if this would go away quietly, and then the victim is experiencing all this peer pressure, that also makes it easier from her perspective if it would just go away quietly. Yeah, communities can't handle these things like that. But then we said the reason we're calling Maya a flying monkey, or KC a flying monkey, or AJ a flying monkey, or Arden a flying monkey, or Glenda a flying monkey, or Ben a flying monkey has nothing to do with September or prior. It's because when we found out about this in December, they went around sending this to us. Now, we had heard they were part of a group that originally was supporting Nancy and listening to her and talking to Patti and all of that, and that after Nancy got her game together and stepped away from the community. They turned on her. And so originally, I think what Sue was calling out was, yeah, we heard all y'all turned on her. But then they swarmed us, and people were like, well, you can't be calling them out and calling them flying monkeys. And then we was like, well, look what they're sending us. Look what they're saying to us. They're telling us they're lying. They're telling us she's lying. They're telling us there's evidence to prove she's lying. And so then they go, oh, well, and then again, they leaned into it. Some of them bought t-shirts, some of them sold merchandise. AJ they made little AI art and used it as thumbnails and posted it all over their pages. They sold merchandise. They sold Flying Monkeys merchandise. They sold Flying Monkeys merchandise, y'all. The atheists were covering up sex crimes. They were called out for it, called Flying Monkeys, and they sold Flying Monkeys merchandise, y'all. They bought t-shirts from Amazon. They did streams called I'd Rather Be a Flying Monkey, Team Flying Monkey. They made AI art and posts of all of them as flying monkeys. They thought it was fun to play in our faces about it. And so when they play about this video evidence, they'll go, oh, now what they'll say, their new narrative is, oh, we never said there was footage in the stairwell. Oh, and we never even said that we saw footage in the lobby. We just said we knew there were cameras in the lobby, so the footage had to be available. And then what we saw was consistent in that what we saw, we could put together that she was lying based on what we saw. So we didn't actually need there to be video evidence of the stairwell, nor did we say there was video evidence of the stairwell. Because what we were really saying was there's video evidence in the lobby, but we don't even need to see that because we were all in the lobby to see what we saw. And then based on what we saw, we could put together that she's lying because, again, they left together. They came out together. They both had dirt on them. He said they both fell. And so now we know she's lying, and we don't need video evidence in the stairwell to know she's lying. Because, again, they fucked it up, and then they try to clean it up. Here's another one. This is Marin, Misinterpretation. She's a smaller creator, but she hangs out with the same crew of people. There's been a full investigation complete with video from the hotel, and SR has been completely exonerated of any wrongdoing. People kept quiet because Nancy asked them to. Again, way back to the way back to the before times. And again, there's been a full investigation complete with video from the hotel, and SR has been completely exonerated. Again, charges not being filed is not the same as being completely exonerated. And here you have another person citing an investigation complete with video evidence that would exonerate him. Here's AJ. AJ messaged me. Never in my life have I asked AJ to fucking message me. She said both the Nano CON and the police investigations included not just witness testimonies, but also video footage from the hotel. You can't fake that evidence. And then she says, my police testimony included 20 pages of screenshots, timelines, photos, and other evidence, right? And if that would be consistent with the stuff she's been sending around everybody since then, right? Then that would mean she potentially contributed to the lack of charges in Nancy's case. And now we have reason to believe her and multiple people likely provided counter testimonies to Nancy's claims. Now here she is responding to D. Murphy's text message. Responding to D. Murphy, Stacey's mom's message in that Facebook thread on Drew's Facebook page. Again, they did all this shit in public, right? And so AJ says, D, nobody is asking to see video or for it to be made public, right? Nobody is asking to see video or for it to be made public. We are asking whether there were cameras in the stairwell. We are asking whether there were cameras in the stairwell. We are asking whether there were cameras in the stairwell to determine if the police closed the case based on concrete evidence. So they're all just, so she's just admitting right here, we're not asking to see it. We're not asking for it to be made public. We're asking if it even exists. So they're admitting they don't know if it exists. It doesn't. And then they're saying they don't even know if the police case was based on concrete evidence. They're basically conceding if the police case was closed based on concrete evidence, it has to be that video in the stairwell, right? Because they're saying we are asking whether there were cameras in the stairwell to determine if the police closed the case based on concrete evidence. Basically saying we think, or AJ thinks, if the police closed the case based on concrete evidence, that would indicate needing that there to be cameras in the stairwell. And without cameras in the stairwell, how can we know that the police closed the case based on concrete evidence? So they're saying it right there. And then here's a message from Nancy to Patti. Again, if I'm harming Nancy, and you know, why is Patti giving me permission to broadcast her messages with the victim? Anyway, she says, "Hey, Pat's got bad news. The district attorney, this is September 10th. Remember I said everything they say is before mid-September? So here she is in mid-September reaching out to her sister after she's cut all those people off, saying, hey, Pat's got bad news. The district attorney made a decision on the case, and he said there wasn't enough evidence along with too many conflicting stories." Now, again, if SR was there and they said, you know, he said to believe her, and we haven't heard anything to indicate he would have been able to provide conflicting testimony. And certainly nobody's been scrutinizing or asking to hear anything directly from him about this. All the scrutiny's been on her. None on him. None on him. None on him. No scrutiny on him at all. None whatsoever. All the scrutiny on her. But if it was only him and her, where would these other conflicting stories come from? Again, we know AJ's at least one of them. Who else would it have been? Wouldn't be Patti. Patti wouldn't be a conflicting story. Might it be Stacey or Drew? Why would Stacey or Drew's testimony be conflicting? And again, if nobody else was there, what could they possibly have testified to that would undermine her account of what happened in that stairwell if they weren't there? And then she says the sheriff said all they had was video from the bar where apparently I was just all over him, making it look very bad in my favor. Almost sounds like what the sister said, which is the justice system isn't trauma informed. The justice system isn't trauma informed, and so they don't even realize her being all over him in the lobby on camera has nothing to do with whether or not he pushed her down the stairs, sexually assaulted her, and strangled her in the stairwell. But at least we know from the victim directly in a private message to her sister, yeah, they said there was too many conflicting stories. And the sheriff said all they had was video from the bar. And the only person who would know or get to see that or have a right to see that would be the victim. And here's the victim saying all there is video from the bar. And again, we already know what happened in the bar. We don't care. And then she says, glad they're all having entertainment at my expense. Hope I never hear from any of them ever again. Now imagine the people who you never want to hear from again escalating a smear campaign against your sister and her friends for being whistleblowers, saying that it hasn't been proven to them that your sister was speaking with your consent after you decided, I don't ever want to hear from them again. And literally said, I'm glad they're having fun at my expense. But then they want to tell everybody they're the Nancy safety team. And she says, I'm sure he's on cloud 9. He just got away with assault. And then her sister says, well, Stacey, remember I told you Stacey from Stacey's Mom podcast? That's the covered up name of Stacey. We know this now. Well, Stacey literally found you distraught and you told me everything right away in the morning. Like, why would you make that up? I think they think you were into it and then made it up to cover your tracks or something. And then Nancy, the victim, says, disgusting. And she says, yeah, being strangulated and pushed down the stairs feels so good. And again, why would she say that to her sister? Are they that deep in this cosplay that she just has to send her these messages to create, I guess, a record of a account of their false narrative? Like, it's just crazy. And then she says, he's going to do this again. I know he will. He's a woman beater. and a master manipulator. Again, that's straight from the victim. And he has a previous victim, and the previous victim said he's a master manipulator and that he targets women coming out of high control groups. But they don't care. They don't care. The former victim also said, the previous victim also said that he hypnotizes people in consent without their knowledge. And they were concerned that he has antisocial personality disorder traits, which is basically the traits associated with what you might previously have called being a sociopath. Somebody who lacks empathy, severe narcissism, and complete disregard for the rights and humanity of others. And that everything's a game to him, and he's a manipulator who always wants the attention on him. And so here's the sister saying, and even if you fully intended to fuck him or something, that doesn't make the violence okay. Nancy, the victim, says exactly. And then she says, not sure if you're feeling the same way, but I'm really distraught over this legal decision. It makes me so angry, hurt, and helpless. Like, how are victims supposed to protect themselves? And how do we actually stop these things from happening? I feel like I'm being ripped apart in all directions and like my voice is completely useless. Liars shouldn't win like this, says Patti. And then Nancy says, and now even trusted friends, right? So she says it here. And now even trusted friends are suggesting that I made it all up. And then she says, like, I put emphasis, she says, like, I'm really struggling letting go. He's a woman beater. So again, like, we showed this in December, right? So she doesn't release her 10-page notarized letter that you can find linked in the description until late February. But in December, we showed all these receipts about these people dogpiling her in that Facebook thread and her being distraught over the legal situation and her concerns about his, dark personality traits and all this type of stuff. And then all that dogpiling is going on Drew and Stacy, on Drew Beckius's Facebook page. And my belief is that they were being coerced by Godless Engineer and his wife, so John and Casey Gleason, and then the rest of those flying monkeys. And again, you can go on Drew Beckius's Facebook page right now and read that thread and see what they're saying to him. See if it sounds like they're ganging up on him and trying to coerce him into being silent about this or changing his story. And then you can see it working. And then notice that Stacy allegedly found Nancy, but Stacy has never once spoken about it publicly. Notice that Dee really thought the way they were behaving in that Facebook thread was awful, but then even she comes back and says, hey, I'll never speak about it again. And she's never spoken about it again. So apparently she thought that behavior was terrible, but also doesn't need to speak up and speak out about what happened to the victim that resulted in that terrible behavior. For some odd reason, everybody's afraid to speak out. And so here's another NanoCon segment. They literally did, because they always advertise Drew and Stacy as the hottest couple at NanoCon. See, NanoCon couples comedy, more sexual stuff. So now we're doing couples comedy at NanoCon.
I told that story.
And then this is Sydney Davis Jr. She's one of Elliot's good friends, and she's one of the board members of SEXular Rising. So he gets to slide out the back door, but SEXular Rising, the organization he started, remains as a sponsor and a key player in this community. And now people like Sydney Davis Jr. who can say, hey, we're not working with Elliot anymore, but they're still friends with him. So whatever arrangements they have, we would never know, right? Because it's a whatever arrangement amongst friends. So that's what we mean about this ridiculousness. So she's also a comedian. She is a comedian. So, okay, they want to do some comedy. That's fine. But again, in this culture, in this atmosphere, when this happened, and then for months after the event happened, there was no coverage. There was no content from NanoCon. And people like Kyle were looking for it. Like, where's the NanoCon coverage? But then after we bring the story out in December, now here comes all this NanoCon content. And it's all got this sexy time at NanoCon flavor to it. It's couples comedy, fire dancer, hula hoop rings. We're all sitting around like, what does this have to do with atheism and secular humanism? So we'll see more of this. But we're gonna hear Stacy and Drew.
And they banned me because it wasn't mean enough. All right, your next comedian coming to the stage, make sure I read the nice things that I wrote, is a Canadian activist who is who's the co-creator and co-host of Stacey's Mom podcast alongside her mother Dee. Give it up for Stacey Marie.
Cheers.
So when Sydney first asked me about doing this, I said, there's no way I'm coming to NanoCon. I'm not crossing the border. I'm not risking being detained. And after a couple of weeks of talking about it and thinking about it, I decided, sure. And then it was just like 2 weeks ago, she's like, hey, do you want to do this? So I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So I asked ChatGPT to help me write this. And I figured, so that's why I have my papers, because this was.
So again, I guess we're just totally like ChatGPT stand-up routines. All right, cool. But again, like, why do we need to do couples comedy if we're just gonna be reading ChatGPT routines? You see what I'm saying? It's like working so hard to make it sexy time at NanoCon. I mean, if you had a comedian who already had like a secular sexuality routine joke thing going, maybe, right? But like just some out of nowhere randos like who just chat GPT it in and call it a day. Like, come on, y'all. What is going on in NanoCon? What is going on in NanoCon? What the fuck?
Do it from, because when you spend your whole life being told what to believe by a mysterious all-knowing force, why stop now?
Yeah! That's right.
He converted in 2021, right around the time the COVID vaccine came out. And you know, when science and evidence were being handed out like Costco samples, the Christians were like, no, I'm good. I'll just pray this away and just like rub some essential oil on my forehead.
Again, like we hear that these events are just like all the anti-Bible studies have. Sorry about the cough. And sexy time at NanoCon. So that's what I mean when I say it's a church controlled by a mob run by a sex cult. It's a church because it's the same as going to a religious convention. It's just anti-religion. Instead of being like Bible, it's like anti-Bible. So same thing, a church, right? And it's run by a mob, right? Because there's all this coercive control. There's all this like influence peddling. There are these gatekeepers, and if you don't get approved by the gatekeeper, you don't get opportunities. They're kingmakers. You know, there are these like few inner group of bigger content creators and channels, and if one of the kingmakers likes you, they can get you lots of opportunities. But if the kingmakers don't like you, then they can like blacklist you, and you're done, right? So that's the mob part, the coercive control and the structures, these overlapping organizations that rely on that structure doing that to maintain their power and control over this cottage industry, right? And then we say it's that, so that's the church, and the church is controlled by a mob, right? Or run by a mob. I use those terms interchangeably, but it's the church controlled by the mob, and then the mob itself is controlled by the sex cult. Why? Because everywhere you go, it's like sexy time, sexy this, sexy that. Polyamory. We hear stories of couple swapping. We hear stories of people leaving because they're being asked to sleep with other people's wives. We hear multiple different atheist conferences have doors that say orgy room. Some people say it's a joke, but I don't get the joke. And why is that at multiple conferences? And if you were concerned about risk, especially risk about gender violence, especially with people coming out of high control groups, right? You would under-sexualize. One of the things we know about my professional conferences is that because we care, so we do research about the safety culture around our conferences. We know that any event where you advertise things like drinking, like let's say you make a flyer for there's going to be a mixer after the poster session. Right, that's a perfectly valid scientific thing, right? We're having a conference. There's some undergrad research. They're doing posters. Some grad students and other early career people have posters. Right, so maybe one of the earlier nights, maybe like the first full night of the conference, instead of us having a big keynote at the end of the night, we have the poster session. Maybe we've got some hors d'oeuvres, some snacks. Maybe there's a wet bar. You pay a little bit, but everybody's just walking around, maybe drinking a beer, talking to students about their posters or whatever, right? So then after the poster, we say, hey, it's going to be a mixer, right? So we don't all go to the, whatever, the little ballroom, little bar area, whatever, and we're just going to chill. You know what I'm saying? We're going to socialize, mix, have some drinks, have some snacks, talk to each other. That's important, right? Because people can get, they can talk to mentors. They can find internships. They can identify, potential future advisors and shit like that. And maybe you want to mix with your colleagues. Maybe you want to talk to some of your collaborators. Maybe you want to just, catch up with some people who you saw their session earlier and you have some questions, right? So it's a perfectly legit thing, right? We know if we take that same plain flyer, right? Follow this. We have a plain flyer. All it says is mixer after poster session, right? We put a martini glass on it. That's all we did. We put a martini glass on it. It's animated. It's not even a real martini glass. It's not even a real martini glass. It's a little icon of a martini glass, like an emoji, right? But now in their heads, women anticipate it's not safe. It's less safe. I shouldn't say not safe. It's less safe. Why? They anticipate more attention to what they're wearing. They feel they might be expected to wear things that are a little bit more revealing or provocative. They expect to be hit on more. Right? We've had researchers do this research and come present it to us at our fucking where I got trained. Right? Let's put like a little icon that's like a little pair of like just animated lips, like the little kissy lips emoji. Boom, same thing. It's just little icons. But it signals to the people viewing the invitation, the materials promoting the event, it changes what they expect the event to be like. It changes the dynamic of what they think might happen at this event, right? Because there's a martini glass on the thing. Okay, we gonna really be drinking then. There's a little sexy little heel icon. Oh, okay, we might be trying to turn up. Okay, hang on. Well, let me put my, I might make a little different outfit decision now, right? And with that different outfit decision and outfit decision culture, now it's going to be a whole different vibe up in that piece, right? So when you're concerned about professional safety, especially if you're not dealing with super educated PhDs who have to go through mandatory training on campus safety every year anyway, and you're just dealing with, the general public who may or may not have any education at all in how to deal with safety issues. Yeah, you under-sexualize. You go, no, we're not going to do couples comedy. We're not saying you can't drink. We're not saying you can't socialize. We're not saying people might not meet. We're not saying people might not hook up. You could do all of that. Or plenty of people do it plenty of times. But we're not going to deliberately sexualize the conference culture. We're going to make sure this is where we do our science. If you want to go to like a kink thing, go for it. If you want to go to a polyamory convention, go for it. If you want to go to a couples thing, go for that. But we won't mix the business and pleasure conference weekend. No, we won't get down like that. Maybe do a field trip. You might go to the museum. You might catch a museum trip. Might go catch a tour of the local college campus. Might want to go see some science. We got a little engineering field station. I might want to go check that out. We got a couple field sites. I want to take a little trip. That happens. But sexy couple time, that's not going to happen. Hula hoop dancing with late? No, absolutely not. Ice cream social? Yeah, you could do ice cream social. You could do ice cream social. Polyamory classes? Nah. Deviant sex education? Hard pass. Y'all see what I'm saying? We're not trying to kink shame, but we're trying to say, are we here to do atheism and secular humanism? Or are we here to do how to hedonist? Are we doing how to humanist or how to hedonist? Hedonism or humanism? Hedonism or humanism? Hedonism or humanism? That is the question. Y'all see where the kink cult crew coming in? I don't put clickbait on the thumbnails. You starting to see the kink cult crew emerge? You starting to see what I call this SEXular humanism? When I get that feeling, I need sexual healing. So I thought we was going to do conferences on atheism and secular humanism, and all you're doing is anti-Bible. And when I get that feeling,
And then I realized, okay, wait a minute, if we can reject actual data and the vaccine, what else are we just blindly believing? Like talking snakes, a boat that fit every animal, except dinosaurs, because apparently they were too sinful to board. It was the first time I had asked myself, okay, what if I'm wrong? What if I built my entire life around a belief system with zero evidence? And then I panicked.
all right. So we're not going to get into the whole deal, but they gonna do her thing. And so that's Stacy, and then here's Drew.
Exactly. But as I've thought through this evening,
I don't know what they getting into in here.
Too. You'll see him in a few minutes. He'll be up here in a little bit. His name is Bre Breaks. Yes.
Oh, so she's talking about Drew.
So instead of hosting potlucks and rebuking Harry Potter, he and I are out here living in sin and ordering Thai food on Sunday mornings.
Woo! All right. So they're a couple, right? I think they're married, but they're in a long distance relationship.
and try and get some.
All right, so he does his routine. I'm not gonna watch their comedy. I can't do that to the audience. And you know, and then they post stuff like this. Thanks for the orgasms. You know, like I don't know why they think we need this. All right. Then here's a guy named Seth. He had this weird obsession with Nancy. His channel is called Ambushed Apostate, but he's part of the smear campaign too. So he also wrote a notarized statement. So we started this thing called Notary Mania because Nancy wrote the 10-page notarized statement. So the Flying Monkeys have been releasing their own counter notarized statement, trying to like flood the zone. So Ambushed Apostate, he actually released the 24-page notarized statement of here's contributions to the smear campaign. This is actually where we heard about allegedly the coke, I think, was in his statement. And he said that came from AJ. Now, here's Bre Breaks, the guy who hosted that Facebook thread with the smear campaign and his Facebook thread. And then we saw doing the couples comedy with Stacy, the woman who found Nancy, right? And they were both doing that couples comedy at last year's NanoCon, right? When this happened, you see what I'm saying? And then this is Chad Harris, who was one of the other Flying Monkeys. He was in that Facebook thread piling on with the victim with all these people. And then here's that Ambushed Apostate guy. So here's the guy who just wrote that statement I just showed you, the Ambushed Apostate guy. And he's saying, can't stay long, but I wanted to show some love to both of you. Conversations lead to a better community, so keep talking. Thanks, Skeptic Haven. Right, and I used to host a show on Skeptic Haven with Maya called Black Free Thinkers, but Skeptic Haven is one of these Flying Monkey centered channels, along with The Line and the Atheist Community of Austin, and then all of their individual channels, and a whole bunch of other channels. The Bad Science Sunday, the I guess it's called Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives. No, I'm sorry. What is the women? What are they called? The broads and bagels. I don't know. I forget. Somebody knows. Somebody will say it. But yeah, there's a lot of channels. All right. So anyway, they're hosting a show called Toxic Community Even After Dogma. Right. So we've been talking about this community failure, all this institutional misconduct, right? And so now they want to play in our face and make themselves again the champions of addressing the toxic community that you might have in your life beyond faith. So they go over this super chat from Ambushed Apostate. Literally, I'm just showing you that this is Flying Monkey on Flying Monkey. They're literally bigging up a super chat from a person who not just, but you know what I mean, from a person who is the same person who just did a notarized smear fucking thing. Right, so he did his own notarized smear campaign. And here's Drew, the husband of the woman that found her, knowing that this guy who also threatened Patti, Ambushed Apostate also sent Patti an email basically saying, oh, you can't run the channel without Nancy. Leave now, end your channel, move on to a different space. And if you continue to go after SR, I'm going to stand and defend him. I'm going to be in the courtroom every second of the trial to defend him, right? So this Ambushed Apostate is going after the Apostate Sisters in an ambush. And here's Drew yucking it up with them, with Chad, some other flying monkeys. But then I called in, and you'll hear my call with them.
Apostate, and appreciate your support. And like I said before, support helps fund. You know, none of us. I'm a volunteer. We're not making money, right? We're supporting the community, building community. So your funds help do things like pay for tech. I know we've had some difficulties with that, and we're always looking for upgrades. So thank you once again. And what do you think? Chad, should we go ahead and jump on this next call? This caller's been waiting for a few minutes here. So let's go ahead. And Joe, you shall wait no more. Joe's pronouns are they, them. Joe's calling out of Pennsylvania here, identifying as agnostic. And yeah, wanting to talk about community. I'm going to go ahead and press the big green button. And Joe, hello, you're on live with Chad and Drew. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Thanks for taking my call.
Good. Thanks for waiting and hanging on with us here as we're working through another fantastic conversation. But we are so glad that you are here as well.
Thank you all so much for joining me for this. I really appreciate your help. All right, so this is me.
Yeah, I know what's on my mind is, growing up, coming out of sort of Christianity and just realizing how much I overlooked, right? Like now when I talk to a Christian, even if it's one of my students, right? And I see them with their crosses on or their Essentials Fear of God hoodie. I don't know why that's becoming such a fashion statement. But I think about all the things that young person has accepted and had to look the other way, right? Like you hear all this talk about how, the Pope is critiquing Donald Trump for his rhetoric and asking him, how did it become so normalized? And I'm thinking, it became so normalized because y'all worship a God that overlooks genocide. Y'all worship a God that commands genocide, that does genocide, that commands and authorizes slavery. And it feels like we've lost so much of our humanity when we can't look at that. And I just wonder what it means for our future, especially in the moment we're in with Epstein and the international wars and all of these things. Like, what does it mean that it feels like we've just lost moral clarity, right? And our ability to have conversations about what's really in these books, what's really going on in this organization. And so it's like, I have a hard time taking the sincerity of people seriously, if that makes sense. When it's like there's just so much that we're clearly overlooking. Do you guys identify with that at all?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different levels of it, right? It's where's the sincerity? First of all, just on society level, certainly I think for a lot of us, myself certainly included, back when we were in church world, faith world, whatever, when I was doing that, when I was a minister, it's like there's insincerity everywhere. But then what can be even more disturbing, I think sometimes, is when we leave the church and faith, you would think that it would be this huge course correct of everything. That's not always the case. And maybe it's tough because it's not always so easy to know how to course correct after faith, even in things like ethics. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, honestly, the more time I spend away from faith, it honestly feels like the more not only I was lying to myself when I was in the faith, but I was lying to myself when I left. And I thought that you know, I had like figured it out that I was the smartest person in the room now. You know, I could walk into a room full of, you know, family members that are still believers, or I could, look at, you know, Christians getting all excited about the Jesus of love and all this, and just kind of know in myself. I mean, I've even said to my family members, you worship the monster. Like, I've been able to like verbalize that to their faith, right? And I know Skeptical, I don't know if you know her, she's like this she makes content on YouTube. She's a content creator. Skepti, like SKEPTYGAL, but she calls them like thug Christians, right? Because she points out that like all this stuff is in their book, and like they don't give a fuck. Like they really, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse here, but like they don't care, you know, like you can point it out to them. Like, and I've done this with my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done this with my mom. To like say, look, mom, like look at what this book says about women. Look at what it says about slavery. Look at what it says about genocide. And then her like look me in the face and be like, well, I'm always going to be a Christian. So, you know, I don't know what you want me to do about your religious trauma, essentially. You know, sorry, you don't like the way I raised you type of conversation. So for me, one of the wake-up calls, honestly, was my psychiatrist. I was in a relationship where like the person was really kind of not treating me too well and not being supportive. And my psychiatrist told me, it sounds like you're suffering from narcissistic abuse. And I had no idea what that really even meant. And I had to look into it, and it's like I got this.
All right, I think this is something everyone should do. If you have not really looked into narcissism, you should do so immediately. You need to get an education in narcissist, and you need to get an education in like almost like dark triad type personalities. Because people don't realize that there's a lot of people out there that you're not going to be able to relate to or deal with, essentially in under the expectation of rational behavior. And we've been so conditioned to believe that everyone acts in good faith and everyone's honest, and you can believe what everybody tells you, and the way people present themselves to be is who they really are. Like, and it's so dangerously naive. You need to learn about disordered personalities. You need to learn about broken people. You need to learn about people who lack empathy. You need to learn about people who disregard the rights of others. You need to learn about manipulators. You need to learn about people who wear a mask. You need to learn about this. You need to learn about structural violence. You need to learn about these things, because these things are putting you in danger, and you're running around acting like there's something wrong with you because you can't get these people to treat you like a human being. You're going to need to learn that there are people in this world who that's just how they fucking are. And you got to stop trying to get through to them and completely cut them out of your life. You go no contact and you cut them off. And then if they fuck with you, there are consequences. And you have to make sure there are consequences. But people make themselves easy victims because they don't want to realize they're dealing with disordered personalities. They don't want to realize they're dealing with people who take pleasure at their pain. They don't want to realize that they're playing with people who will defend abusers in their face and smile about it. They don't want to admit that they're dealing with people who will gaslight them. They don't want to admit that they're dealing with people who will conduct a smear campaign. They don't want to admit that they're dealing with liars. You need to wake up.
Education and what that even meant. And I thank that doctor for saving my life. I told him, I said, I really think you saved my life. But I was out of that relationship 2 days
Thanks for
later.
being here, Kalindros. I appreciate you being in the chat.
Process of just trying to work through what happened, you know, now all of a sudden I have to read about narcissism. I have to find out how other people have dealt with narcissistic abuse. So now I think I'm healing from this relationship, but it's really opening these wounds.
Yes, everyone does not deserve to have your access. Exactly.
Saying like, no, all of that was there in the church too. You thought it was just bad ideas and, you know, a lack of moral clarity, but no, it's been this sort of toxic, like you said, toxic community from the beginning, right? And you were raised in this collective narcissism. And so that really taught me like, oh, I can still be hoodwinked. And when I get hoodwinked, it'll turn my life upside down, and I'm not immune to that. Matter of fact, now I wonder if the narrative in this whole space is off a bit, because it's like, maybe we should be seeing ourselves as more susceptible to those things and not less.
Right. And notice how they're getting into it, because I'm spitting bars. I'm a goddamn college professor. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what they pay me to do. Goddamn sociology instructor and an anthropology professor. And I teach human biology. Sorry, I get annoyed because sometimes people are like so surprised that I have clear thoughts. And I'm trying to point out that when you come out of a high control group, especially as a grown person, there's a lot of shit you should have learned as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult that you didn't get because you were in this group that just said, take it all to the cross, take it all to Jesus in prayer. Oh, you're dealing with this? You shouldn't even want that. Oh, you're feeling this way? No, you don't really feel that way. Oh, this is bothering you? No, God wants you to have that. So the problem with this whole atheist, secular, humanist online space is these people have crowned themselves kings and queens of psychology. They figured out that they don't believe Christianity. So now they can't be hoodwinked. They're the smartest people in the room. They're immune to toxic group dynamics. They're immune to groupthink. But when they think I'm talking about the other side, they're with it. Now, when I bring it on to our team, they understand. And he likes that because that's the grift they're here to do. Now, I know they're secretly here to play in my face. I knew that when I called in. But I was like, all right, let's see how they take me calling in then. If y'all want to play in my face about this, let's talk. But you see, they're with me. Because that's what they want to do. They want to talk about how you can be in a toxic community even after you leave faith. So I get them right there. I get them right there and they're with it.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
He loves it. He loves it.
That whole idea that, yes. So when I hear what you're saying, and tell me if we're on the same page here. Okay. So part of what I'm hearing, and as I've seen it through my own lens and experiences, is when we grow up in the church, in faith, whatever our tradition is, oftentimes we're kind of sometimes more directly than others. Sometimes we're told exactly what we have to believe. Sometimes we're not necessarily instructed what we have to believe or how we have to live in every single thing. But nonetheless, it's our faith that guides us, and we can feel so confident in that guidance, that instruction, and we just have all the answers, be it through how we read the Bible or whatever may be. And then all of a sudden we don't. And I know for myself, at least, when I left the faith, it like created a vacuum, because I feel like I lived so intentionally based on what I understood to be biblical truth, etc. And then I left the faith and it created this vacuum, and I didn't know what the fuck to put in the vacuum. I didn't know what ethics were right. All I knew is that what before was one of the worst and greatest sins and evils of all time is now.
And again, all he knows now is he can't speak out against John Gleason. So here he is, literally, he's a preacher. He used to be a preacher. He used to be involved in I think the Clergy Project or whatever, maybe. And, you know, he's just doing the atheist preacher bit, right? He's totally just doing the atheist preacher bit. And part of that now is he's going to lead you into understanding how you could have toxic community after faith. But again, he's the husband of the woman that found the victim. He posted a link to a stream trying to let the community know what happened on his Facebook thread, and over 160 comments were posted dogpiling the victim blaming and slut shaming. And him, his wife, and his mother-in-law decided they have nothing to say about that. Nothing to say about that. Meanwhile, that same organization turns around and promotes the very next NanoCon using their couples comedy routine. And now here he is. And I could have showed y'all like the chat, because Stacy she was in the live chat. I don't really have the live chat here. but she was in a live chat with all the flying monkeys hanging out. And then they're doing streams to the community about how you could mess around and find toxic community after faith, and they're going to set you straight to make sure that doesn't happen. Meanwhile, they are the toxic community everybody has found after faith. And they just been playing in our face about it the whole time. And this wasn't that long ago. This was just a month ago. So this was after the letters out, everything. They know we've been covering this since December. I done covered his whole Facebook thread, all his friends running around. We call it Bundy derangement syndrome because nobody will talk about what happened at NanoCon. They just keep blaming everything on me for covering it. So we call it Bundy derangement syndrome because, again, Elliot Martin threw Nancy from the Apostate Sisters down the stairs, sexually assaulted her and strangled her. I wasn't even there. Then, you know, the community covered it up. The community's doing the smear campaign and all this. All I did was talk about it. But I'm the problem, not Elliot, the Tennessee Strangler Martin.
Simply a medical procedure. Well, shit, if the worst of the worst is now just fine, what is right or wrong anymore? Do you think, is that some of what you think might be what you reference to as we're even more susceptible now because we're just trying to figure out how the fuck to rebuild it all?
Yeah, and then honestly, the more I think about like learning and development, like things like boundaries, emotional intelligence, questioning authority, critical thinking, a lot of the things you talked about, like just where's my balance, where's my center, where I can figure out the difference between me and the group I'm in, and my needs and what I've been told to want and need. And how to express those things. And so I looked at it, and now I look back at it, and it's about development in the sense of growing from a child to an adult is not just about physically growing bigger and learning how to, you know, do third grade work versus ninth grade work versus college work. It's also about the stages of reaching maturity. And rather than going through those stages of reaching age appropriate maturity, right? Age appropriate conversations about sex, age appropriate conversations about emotions, age appropriate conversations about consent, age appropriate conversations about you know, just critical thinking, how to tell people when you don't want something, all these things. It's like I missed all that. I was told to take it to the cross. I was taught to spiritualize it. I was taught it was sin. I was taught I probably shouldn't want those things in the first place. And so now I'm looking back at it and saying, you know, approaching middle age. And in middle age, I'm learning the things that I now feel like I should have learned as a child or as a teenager. And then what does it mean for me to say that I'm beyond indoctrination, or I've moved out of this place of being susceptible to cult-like thinking and cult-like behavior, when in reality, I didn't work my way out of the cult till I was a fully grown man. And now I'm really playing catch up, but at the same time,
right, here's
really
Kelly from Black Non-Believers again. So, and you saw named Mandisa Thomas, the president of Black Non-Believers, is now one of the featured speakers at NanoCon. So Black Non-Believers is in on the flying monkey narrative as well.
The remedial class, I'm treating myself like I'm, you know, like I have a doctorate in this or something.
Right. So that's what I'm saying about them. Y'all are really in the remedial class. You're just learning, but you treat yourselves like you have a doctorate in this. You treat yourself like you know every goddamn thing, but really, you're figuring out things as grown people that you should have learned decades ago. And you need to realize you're in danger because you don't even realize how much you don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and there's so much that can come our way all at once. And sometimes it's hard to know even where to start, right? And sometimes it can feel like there's a lot of pressure. Oh, like I'm starting back at square one. And before, at least I was given a map. Now I feel like I don't even have a map anymore. Remedial feels advanced compared to how it can feel sometimes, right?
Yes, yeah,
Let me,
absolutely.
is
'Cause
there,
those are painful lessons.
yeah.
Even if they're simpler lessons or earlier lessons, they're still painful for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some
And there's Titan Uranus. He thinks he's a big deal in this space. He's one of the popular mods. He's been trying to control this narrative and have people delete threads related to it, and he's really been working overtime to keep this whole narrative under wraps.
great chats coming in, by the way, and we definitely will come back later and we'll recognize those super chats. So thank you so much, everyone, for all of these.
Theo's
And I
another
know I'm
one.
so
They're all flying
focused on
monkeys.
all
They're
the
all in here.
insights and great.
But pay attention to these names because you might start to see them around or recognize the pattern. You'll see a lot of their allies. They're all over the place. They might swarm some of you just for being in my chat. Sorry about that.
Questions Joe's bringing. I'm not even quite catching everything in the chat, so I apologize. Even the ones on the screen, I haven't caught them all. But Joe, let me ask you this. I mean, so much great insight. It sounds like seriously, you might not feel like you've got it quite all put together yet. And honestly, fam, do any of us ever? And you seem to have some really good self-awareness of what you're learning
I've got
and what
good
you haven't yet.
self-awareness. Good, interesting.
Is there anything in particular, maybe a particular challenge, or maybe you've already kind of mentioned it, and maybe just in the midst of all of the wisdom and just everything that all the experiences you're bringing here, maybe you mentioned something specific and I missed it. And so if you did, I apologize. But is there maybe in the midst of it all a particular challenge that you're facing right now that you'd like to run by Chad and myself, and we kind of try and work through or come up with some insights?
So this was the first time the call dropped. I thought it was technical difficulties. I don't know. I think they may have figured out it was me and they wanted to talk about it backstage or something. I'm not really sure. I have a test channel for like testing my setup called Loosen Uranus.
Okay, so I
can show y'all that. Actually, I don't really care. It's just I don't really care about that channel. It's like a throwaway channel. I use it to test my equipment, or like when I want to just see what's going on. But yeah, it's called Loosen Uranus. Oh my God, we have a show on here. Look, Rebekah Davis. It's Rebekah Davis. Wait, look, it's Rebekah Davis. Yo, I gotta show you how our show goes.
Tuned into a very
oh my God,
very special edition of Late Night Counter Apologetics. Today
look at the
I am
kid.
going
Heartbreak
for
J,
the
baby.
jugular.
The jugular.
One of the most serious and controversial topics that somebody like myself can dare to get into.
Oh, I miss
Today
these days.
we're talking
Look at my
about
studio.
Black Christianity and the supposed joys of slavery.
Look at the earrings.
What the fuck is wrong with these people? I have no idea. But Tux is here. We are live on Pocket Locker 86 on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Jay Bundy on YouTube, No Good and Evil on YouTube. I am taking over the internet. It is time for Late Night Counter Apologetics. I've been looking forward to this all week. The United States World Wrestling Entertainment Champion is in the building. Let's go.
I love him. Who is he? Who is he? Who is that man? Oh my God, I swear that will be my favorite YouTuber. How is that not your favorite YouTuber? How is that not your favorite YouTuber?
Right, it is time for entrance hype video time.
I don't believe
yes,
for 1
pocket
second
points
that I
are
am
a real
the only
thing.
one
What do I
smart
look like,
enough to
Pine
pick
Creek?
up the Bible and figure out
I know
that we're
imaginary
not
currency
supposed to
around
mourn
here. We got
when
that real fake
homosexuals
money.
die.
Tell them no name.
One of these lives.
Oh yeah, because Pine Creek used to talk about giving away like Pine Bucks or something, like a fake channel currency, but like we have a real channel currency, so I'd be like, fuck that.
has a future.
YouTube Punk is flexing on his account.
What? So what? So
we are gathered around in the spirit
Look
of
at the
fellowship.
The emoji
It's
flashing.
time to watch some no-name
God has
footage.
darkened their heart and blinded their eyes. Look, if God darkens your heart and blinds your eyes, you can't believe. You can't believe. Washing our feet in the blood of the wicked. I'm starting to just realize the uncomfortable truth. Who here really struggles hard?
Oh, we were in
it's
absolute
really
fever
hard.
dream.
And you know what? These
Really
people are going to
difficult
be
to
burning
be
in
home
hell
on.
for all eternity.
Oh my
The
God.
victory is theirs. It's not ours. They've already won. We've
already
already
lost.
lost. It's already been written. We've already read the last chapter, and we know.
I don't love God.
I don't love God. You can't believe.
Paul doesn't say any about that in his credentials when he.
Oh, this is Rebekah gets so
credentials in
bored.
Philippians 3.
Look at
Oh,
that
look at
face.
Rebekah. She gets so bored talking.
sure he
about
does.
That's how she looks after we have coitus. Whoops.
So the
Guys,
point,
where are we going with this?
I just started something. I feel like I just started
I don't
something.
need two Christians in here arguing, guys. This is
I'm not sure.
over this stupid thing. I'm sorry. This is a stupid disagreement.
Oh, I'm ready to
Paul
fight.
had a
It's time.
revelation
I just
from
been warming
heaven.
up with
That's the
flat
end of it. I don't wanna
earthers
hear
and
any
young
more
earth
about it. Seriously, this is
creationists and
absolutely
geocentric
profound.
No, it's connected to the statement that was
cosmology
raised,
all day.
Rebekah.
I'm
You
ready to
raised
fight. The World Wrestling Entertainment United States
This
Champion
is
is here.
a threat to our system. You know, for instance, go back to the.
Can I get an amen, Kenny?
Paul was
Can I get an amen, Kenny? Can I get an amen, Kenny? Oh my goodness! If you know, you know.
Women
Inside
should
culture
remain
means-
silent.
standards. The women were
Can I get an amen,
over-talking the
Kenny?
message.
That's what a guy
Over
would
talking
always
the
say.
message.
Standing up and saying, "What does that mean, preacher?"
Can I get an amen, Kenny?
And a woman can't teach over me.
And a woman can't teach over me.
There's an order.
Woo! Sparks are
So then
coming.
how-
Sparks
how
are
do you-
coming.
Yo, we had some wild times back in the day. Yo. We had some wild
Fireworks,
times
did-
out here on
fireworks.
YouTube.
Unless you're planning on going into my kitchen and
A
slapping
fact
some ham
earther?
between two
Oh my
slices of bread,
goodness.
this conversation is
Y'all, a
over.
fact earther. Wow. Wow.
Oh my God, I love
Warning,
him.
internet people. Internet people, come cancel me. Come cancel me. I'm about to talk about black Christians and defending slavery. Come cancel me quickly. You're running out of time.
It's interesting how atheists act like they know more science than actual scientists. So tell them to come debate me.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
I think believing in God is step one. If you don't even believe in a God, then why would we start debating like which God is the right one? I think believing in God is step one.
Yeah, I don't really think you can get to the Christian God through science idea of God you believe in. Do you want to talk about that on this?
But I don't have I haven't looked into that very much.
Oh, this so I got so much good clips for you guys. Oh, this
Rome
is so
wants
much
to know,
fun.
can we ask your guests where she's
Where you
currently
at?
sitting?
Where you at, Taylor?
Sitting in a lab.
We're gonna be
I work here
interviewing
every
Taylor
day.
soon. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that.
Impressed.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
Jordan Peterson's song. Oh my God, I miss these streams so much. Oh, look, Hillary is. Oh, so there was Hillary's emails. That's why I named my channel Hunter Biden's Laptops. It's because of Hillary's emails.
What's up, Hillary's emails? I see you. No name. I see you.
So Hillary's emails is like a right winger, I think a Christian that we're friends with, and I changed my J Bundy channel to Hunter Biden's Laptops to troll Hillary's emails, just to get a laugh out of him. But now I'm stuck with it.
Magic the Gathering after party.
Magic the Gathering after party, yo. We were about that life, yo.
We just want to
in
sing.
it.
We just want to do magic.
We just want to do magic.
Don't you guys just feel for Jordan Peterson here? The way Nano captured the emotional roller coaster that is Jordan Peterson. Doesn't he just feel so relatable? I'm fucking around.
a reality to fully believe. I don't even know what would happen to you if you fully believed it.
Yes, I needed Jordan Peterson's tears today. Oh no, I'm Jordan Peterson. My brain is so heavy.
Question that cuts close to the bone.
Oh, look at his face. Look at his face. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love hating Jordan Peterson. Oh god.
Yeah, I had a big ass TV and a camera on top of it.
Loss of faith in the idea.
It was so much fun.
Oh no.
Of the individual.
Oh, not the idea of the individual.
It is only the individual, after all, who suffers.
Oh, what are they gonna do?
The group does not
guys.
suffer.
Oh my god. The group does not suffer, guys. The group does not suffer. The group does not suffer.
And will be again rationalized and justified.
Oh no!
For its supposed benefits. For the future. Of the group.
And thank you.
Oh, it's so good. I got one more for you.
Hey, bro, you have to maintain, dude. You have to act like a fucking adult, bro. Fucking adult, bro.
Oh my god.
What you talking about? In terms of reality. Stupid ass house, nigga. And not the fucking myopic, fucking little fucking juvenile worldview.
Right, phony Christian.
Whoever fucking talks next while I'm talking is out. Fucking, okay? I'm gonna make a fucking point here. And if I get interrupted, you're gone. What's going on with you? What are you talking about? By the way, Flying Disciple Man. If you can't handle fucking people using strong language, fucking.
Like I said, I come in the name of Jesus, by the call Lord This ain't, I ain't playing with your ass. Don't call up and play with me.
Go, play with the children, okay?
You the devil. You the devil.
Fucking
Ron Hubbard is the true guy. I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
If you can't handle the fucking, then don't come.
So you know I ain't worried. Biatch. There's no hell. Cut that bitch off. Turn that poop into wine.
Turn that poop into wine. Turn that poop into wine. Turn that poop
into wine. You fucking income
fucking income fucking poop. Amazing. Amazing work. Uh-oh, folks. We gotta find our shows. Where are our shows at? Here we go. We'll do the general intro. Here we go.
Oh, the intro. Listen to the intro.
Motherfucking show.
Listen to the intro. Listen to the intro. Listen to the intro. Listen to the intro.
Please welcome your host. He is the wise man of the Sacred Death Motorcycle Club.
He is. Mm-hmm.
He is the sexiest man in all of word wrestling entertainment.
Completely factual.
He is the most entertaining man in the history of evolutionary biology.
Facts. Undeniably
He
true.
is the virtual visionary.
Visionary.
Mr. Dual PhD himself.
2 of them.
Please give it up for
Start this fucked up ass tape.
Of the atheist apocalypse. The only man to have his vestments blessed by Pine Creek. The most high apostle of
the cult of the flying man.
He is none other than the outlaw prince. The one and only Jesus who can save us.
Let me at these fools talking about joys of slavery.
Heartbreak J. Pocket Locker Bundy.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the look that drives the girls wild. I got the moves that really move them. I send chills up and
He's
down.
singing his
their
entrance
spines.
live
I'm just
on top
a
of him
sexy
singing his
boy.
entrance.
Are y'all ready for late night counter
Oh my
apologetics?
goodness.
What these fools talking about the joys of slavery? I'm about to loose them from their ever-loving minds. I make them hot. I make the thing shiver. Their knees get weak whenever I'm around to see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like their God ain't real, cause I'm a sexy boy. Folks, look at the goddamn tights. Look at the crucifix.
Look at the crucifix on the tights. Look at the crucifix
look at
tights.
the crosses on
Look
your
at the
tights.
crucifix tights.
Oh, that's some next level shit.
Next level.
Woo!
Oh, look at the emoji splash. Entrance time. Keep your heart out, girls.
Hands off the merchandise.
Oh, you gotta kiss the belt. Gotta kiss the belt. Gotta kiss the belt. Gotta put the robe on.
Is that a new robe?
Is that a new robe? This nigga got a new robe.
Oh, don't hurt him like that.
Oh,
Jay.
don't hurt him like. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
Turning the mic off. Locking in. Putting the headphones on. Get ready to do the show. Then we gonna switch cameras on him.
I'm just a sexy boy.
Oh, the best entrance in all of YouTube. I won't believe otherwise. I can't believe otherwise.
I'm not your boy toy.
Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. It is the one and only Pocket Locker in the building. I see the congregation has gathered. I see Hillary's emails permissions have been upgraded, and she can now do the emote bombs. It is your boy Pocket Locker in the building, and I am in motherfucking airplane mode. Let's go.
And then there it is.
Definitely smoking. We've been
Why
waiting all
would we be
week long for some late night counter apologetics.
Why would we be done with the entrance? Why would we be done? The Most High Apostle has the official. Whoop, gotta hit it. Gotta clear it. Airplane mode.
Moment of silence.
So good. Get back to the top. I gotta blow it out at the camera. Oh, who is he? Oh my God, y'all. All right, so look, that's over on the test channel. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I think this means we need to.
I didn't press it.
Yeah. This.
Oh,
they told me this
good
may happen. I
times.
think you and I both need to log back in, and then we'll bring it back up. Oh, is that right? Is that Wes there? Do we need to log back in? Or are we here? Oh,
Should be all good. You should be all good.
Okay, we're all good. Okay, cool. Thought maybe the whole thing. Anyway, bad things. Do we still have you on? It looks like Joe. Oh, here. There. I'm gonna repress Joe's talk button. Sorry, y'all. We're working it. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sounds great. Sorry, we had some tech glitches, but we are back, so that's good. It was very brief. So, is there anything particular, a particular challenge, or anything that you'd like to kind of workshop together, or kind of just talk through and see if we can find some insights, the three of us?
Yeah, so I guess really like there's been two things on my mind a lot lately. So one is sort of, I wonder what strides we're making towards, I guess what I would call, you talked about it a bit too, right? Talking about how the Bible, it offered us something, right? It offered us a lot of answers. It told us how to live, how to do a lot of these different things. And now I feel like even though I finally found like a home in the sense of like, okay, I found that I'm not crazy, okay? I found that there are people out there like me. I'm not the only person who's not biting on the God thing anymore. I'm not the only person that's kind of thinking religion is maybe causing us more problems than it's solving. I'm not the only person that thinks like, hey, we could probably do a little bit better to make our material conditions better. So I'm feeling that. But now I'm wondering, like, what is it based on? Because now I find myself here, but I feel like so much of what we are is we're against the Bible, we're against faith, we're against Christianity, you know, we're pro science. Like all these things are great, but it's like, where's my actual moral philosophy going to come from? What do I know? Okay, I have these humanist values, and that tells me I should, you know, prioritize all these other different types of people. But what do I know about those different types of people, and how am I getting to learn about those different? You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm getting a different set of values, and I'm finding like-minded people. But now I'm like, what do we do with this other than not be them? Like, okay, I know we're not them, but then like, who are we other than not them? If that makes sense.
So is it a? I think I'm about there. I just want to clarify. So is it looking for like, okay, so I have the values in place. Those are more or less in place. It makes sense. I value people. I value experiences, whatever may be. Okay. But you're looking for, okay, but on a more of a cognitive level, looking for the connections on a cognitive level as opposed to pure values. Is that where you're headed?
I'll be right back. I gotta grab my food.
Yeah, it's more like, okay, so it almost feels like when I watch, like, say, atheist content, it fuels my sort of religious trauma fix. But when I go to learn about, like, say, history, or I go to learn about civil rights, or I go to learn about feminism or any of these things, I have to go outside of the atheist sphere to really get the real education in those things. But now I'm back in mainstream culture where it's okay to filter those things through Christian language and all of those things. So now I don't feel comfortable in the space that's feeding my education fix, for a lack of a better way to put it, because they're not really gonna break it down in a secular framework that I could really attach myself to. So every time the learning gets real good, all of a sudden that other stuff starts to creep in, and now I don't feel okay over here. And now when I come back over to atheist space, I'm like, okay, now I'm with my people, but now it's like, it don't feel like we're taking up the substance of those broader issues in the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like these are my people over here, but again, when we're over here, we're mostly focused on, okay, we're not them, we're not doing the apologetics, their philosophical arguments are bad, but it's like, what are we building to replace it?
So
other than a space where we're not.
Is part of it,
and I know that's not an easy answer, but that's the feeling, right?
Yeah. Like, so it sounds to me like what you're saying is, okay, so oftentimes atheist spaces. So one time somebody, it was the leader, I forget his name. It was back when I was living in Chicago, and we were doing the local Freedom from Religion Foundation, their local group in Chicago. The leader of it at the time, he was talking about, he was like a former Catholic. And he said, at least in my tradition as a Catholic, boy, when we'd go to our church gatherings and we never talked about the Bible or Jesus or God. We just talked about regular everyday life. And now we're atheists. We've left it behind. And now all we do is talk about the Bible and whether or not there's a God. And so am I sensing in you a hunger for, okay, can we bring stuff, the rest of life beyond whether or not there's a God, into our atheist and secular spaces, and more diversify the content, the learning? Because if that's what you're looking for, I do think that's out there, and I can kind of help point you in that direction. And Chad maybe has some good resources as well. Or am I totally missing the beat here and that's not what you're looking for at all?
No. That's totally it. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then I'll tell you the second thing. The second thing is, because I feel like I missed that developmental window, and because I feel like it took me so long myself to realize what I hadn't realized, even post deconstruction, if you will, even after I left the faith. So I left the faith, right? But it took me a really long time to look back and say, oh, I'm just now learning.
Hey.
I'm wondering how.
Oh. Hey, Joe, are you with us, Joe? Joe? Hey, Joe. Okay. So it looks like, folks, let me check here. I think, let's see. I think we're back. Last time we were back when this happened. I apologize, folks. Let me go over and check.
All right, so that is where they cut off the call. And they cut off the call because I wanted to talk about Nancy. Like, I guess they have it delayed or something, but I went on to start talking about Nancy, and somebody came on. They were like, no, Jay, we're not doing this here. You can't do this. And so I call back in and say, like, y'all are covering this up. Like, you know, I wanted to call in now and talk about this. No, Jay, we're not doing this here. You're going to talk about this. So I called back. I was like, you're, and I was like, well, we can't let you back on to talk about that. I was like, I'm not trying to get back on. I'm just trying to let you know that a college professor just called in to say this community is covering up what happened to this woman. And you're telling me we can't have that conversation. And they're like, well, you're going to have to talk to the board about that. I was going to have to talk to the board about that. I already, which they don't realize I had already been talking to the board. I knew exactly what time it was because I knew the board knows and they've been platforming him ever since anyway. Now here's Drew and Stacy on that same channel, Skeptic Haven, and they're talking, do you feel more or less safe after faith? And then like the thumbnail for this stream was like, who really protects women? So here's Drew and Stacy, the couple that found her, but let everybody dogpile her on his Facebook in a stream again with all the flying monkeys over here. All the same flying monkeys over here. And then they're advertising charm alarms, emergency alarm light that you attach to your purse. And then, you know, if somebody throws you down the stairs or strangles you or sexually assaults you, you grab a charm alarm. So Christians, I hope you see why you're here, right? The atheists are up to some sort of weird freaky deaky sex stuff, right? While they're covering up sex crimes. And then they're saying to the secular ladies, hey, grab you a charm alarm. Because ain't nobody going to speak up to help you. Ain't nobody going to be... These organizations ain't going to be doing nothing. The people that found you, yeah, they just going to be online with everybody that's been dogpiling you, selling charm alarms. Selling charm alarms. Selling charm alarms, y'all. Come on now. So Christians, this is what we need your help. This is why we need your help. Christians, we ain't playing with you, Christians. The atheists are covering up sex crimes and selling charm alarms instead of addressing it. With the people that allegedly found the woman doing the selling. Charm alarms, y'all. Charm alarms.
Second, and I brought them over.
Don't forget they sold merchandise. Don't forget they sold merchandise now.
It's a charm that you can clip on your purse, and it is a really high-pitched alarm sound that you can push. And it says on it, deter predators wherever you go. And then it listed places that you can use. I think it says campuses,
Campus
Road
At
live,
night was one of them. At night,
solo
just night.
trips, late
Yeah, and
nights,
then
parking
parking lots.
lots. Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
pointed it out.
Get you a charm alarm. Get you a charm alarm. Get you a charm alarm. All right, y'all, let's get into the content. We're going to start with this guy. He teaches about resistance history. I'm looking forward to his upcoming book coming out this summer. His name is Tad Stormer. Let's listen to this.
Good morning, folks. Time for another TAD Talk about real history. I know, as if we needed another one, but if they keep going, we will. Let's take a look at an image. So the New Yorker wants you to believe that Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton are being thrown out of the Capitol like tragic figures of a lost democratic ideal. But what they don't realize what they've actually done. This image isn't about their exile. It's about their restoration. The founders didn't create a democracy. They built a system that concentrated power among white men.
A system that concentrated power among white men. Let me show you something. I didn't plan this ahead of time, so give me a second to pull it up. It's a thumbnail I've been using about the secular atheist leadership. Right? You know, the new atheist movement, right? Starts with the Four Horsemen. I left Daniel Dennett off because he was not part of the alt-right, as far as I know. But certainly Harris, Hitchens, and Dawkins all were. And so now the current crop of atheist leadership also looks like white men and their very few coon allies. I call them white boys McMoney bags. Because that's what they are. They're all the biggest secular voices, the best secular humanists, the best atheists, the biggest names. White boys make money bags because they're the only cash cows in the game. All white men, all completely silent about what happened to this woman. Unbelievable. So yeah, they concentrated power in the hands of a few elite white men.
Protected slavery and resisted any expansion of true political equality based upon the exploitation of everybody else. And the people pushing their memory today through the reinstated 1776 Commission, Task Force 250, and the whole assault in the form of a new wave of federal policies banning education about systemic racism and promoting patriotic education aren't rejecting their vision, they're enshrining that. They're embracing it. And that's the part that the New Yorker and people who think like the New Yorker don't get. In their effort to lament the so-called loss of the Founders' Republic as represented in this image, and in so much of the hand-wringing you see going on in social media, they reinforce the very values they think that they oppose. They've handed the people gutting public education and rewriting history a perfect piece of propaganda. But the people making these policies, the new regime, they know what they're doing. They're not protecting democracy. They're reinforcing a past where democracy was the enemy, where the preferred form of government was a closed system built for the few and policed against the many in perpetuity. And when a liberal institution like the New Yorker swoons for a world that never existed, oh my gosh, please bring back the founders. Mourning an imaginary America instead of confronting the real one, they help that past creep back in. So when I look at this image, and when members of my community, I think, look at this image, I don't think we see the founders being cast out of the Capitol. I see them being ushered back inside. And the New Yorker just held the door open. Good morning, folks.
So that's what we deal with, right? is this illusion that secular humanism is better than Christianity, it's the alternative, it's there to fight the patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy of Christianity. By doing what? Patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy. Patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy. Patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy. Remember the part about they know what they're doing? You go to the line, we call these people out for being the alt-right pipeline. Remember on this thumbnail? It says the past, the ghost in the machine is, and I colored them red, and it's the alt-right past. Or no, I think I found this in there red. The alt-right past, right? Maybe I did, I don't remember. And so then here's the line, the same line that's been called out for their role in all of this. And, is there a fundraiser now? Are they doing the fundraiser now? I guess now they're doing the fundraiser. They're supposed to be doing a fundraiser for RFR. Maybe, I thought it was tomorrow. Yeah, I guess they're doing it now.
Goodbye, everybody.
So anyway, yeah, they're doing a fundraiser for Recovering from Religion, the organization that continued to platform secular rarity and talk about his secular leadership. Like if you go over here to the atheist community of Austin, so here, you know, see the atheist community of Austin has an upcoming stream with Elliot. And then here's a bunch of other streams with Flying Monkeys, and here's one with Elliot, right? So this was done on Easter.
Vision that I
So
had.
on Easter, Elliot is hosting a call-in show, again, with Secular Rarity and Dr. Del Rey, right? That's the head of this Recovering from Religion in the Secular Therapy Project. So the line knows a bunch of their personalities and hosts have been called out for slut shaming and victim blaming related to what SR here did to Nancy. And they know that we've called out that the atheist community of Austin on their AXP show platformed him on Easter with Daryl Ray, who started Recovering from Religion and Secular Therapy Project. And again, he calls himself the secular Jesus in this intro here.
Been told. Now, I am not hip enough to know exactly. So I'm very proud of fighting my way. April 5th, 2026. And that's right. I am your host, the secular Jesus Christ. And that's right. I am your host, the secular Jesus Christ. I appreciate all of you. I am your host, the secular Jesus Christ. I appreciate all of you for joining us.
Right. So when the line made the thumbnail for their Recovering from Religion fundraiser, they used mega fundraiser, one letter away from MAGA fundraiser, and then use the Trump meme where Trump is Jesus, but replace Trump's face with Recovering from Religion, showing Recovering from Religion, healing your religious trauma, while they all sit around the host. So again, they see all this happening and they don't just, you know, stay out of it or shut the fuck up or whatever, or, you know, do something positive, support the victim. No, they go out of their way to play in the whole community's face about it. They go out of their way to say, oh, you guys think it's problematic that Recovering from Religion platformed the assailant? Oh, well, we're going to do a fundraiser for them. A mega fundraiser where we depict Recovering from Religion as Jesus. So that's where we're at. All right, now we're going to get into another aspect of this misogyny, this hatred of women. And we're going to be looking at a video from a content creator, a secular content creator called Jenny from Life Take Two. It's called Why Mormon Girls Must Be Hot. right? So if you go to her channel, go to videos, okay, Sexy for Jesus. That's the thumbnail, Sexy for Jesus. Why Mormon girls must be hot, right? So again, more, and I think she's a hypocrite because we tried to tell her about this issue, Becca, Faith Exposed did, and she hasn't responded. But look at the line, look at their video page. Look at the women they use. Always young, always white or light skinned. Josie's usually the main woman of color. They also go with Candace Gorham from I think the American Humanist Association. She's a black woman, but I mean that's more recently since she's gotten in on the NanoCon action. They've decided to promote her as one of their next few black people they platform. But look at all the women, all young, all white or light skin, right? All fitting a certain aesthetic, right? Why do the women of atheism and secular humanism need to fit a certain visual cue? Why are they all under a certain age, white or light skin, attractive? It's the business model, goon bait, I call it. Used to make sure we can attract more of the male gaze. They tell me I'm misogynist for pointing it out. Am I misogynist for pointing it out, or are they misogynistic for doing it? You tell me. Am I misogynist for pointing it out, or are they misogynist for doing it? They couldn't find anybody else to do any of these shows? Interesting. But yeah, let's sit around and talk about why Mormon girls must be hot. Again, we got Lack of Promise Backlund. We got Monte Mater. She puts quite a lot of interesting content out there on her social media. We got Hula Hoop Fire Dancer Lady. I've heard Mandisha's gotten into some interesting behavior online. It's just very interesting. AJ presents herself an overly sexualized lady. Again, we're not trying to kink shame, but come on, y'all. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing?
Your weight. You heard that correctly. More of you girls need to start acting your weight. You heard that correctly. Act your weight. Because if you are 160 pounds, I don't want to see any attitude. I want you to be giving all that attitude to the treadmill.
I eat too much. Too often. When I get nervous, I eat. And when I'm depressed, I eat. And I just eat anytime.
Well, I don't like myself fat. I really, in fact, I could say I hate myself. And I feel really self-conscious around other people. I feel like everyone's watching me, and I feel like, a fat person just isn't lovable.
I don't date very much. I date a few times, and most of the guys are just friends. So.
My sister came up to see me, and she's lost a lot of weight, and she's just, wherever we went together, everybody was always, "She's your sister? Wow. I don't see how you can be sisters. You don't even look at all alike." And here she is, 95 pounds,
Mm-hmm. So what were they telling you, Claudia?
And I'm like, yeah, your big sister's a fat blob.
So the question is, what type of culture are we creating with the over-sexualization of our conferences? Only women who fit a certain aesthetic being worth platforming and listening to. Those women being used to draw more male gaze for monetary benefit. And that's before we talk about covering up sex crimes. That is all before we start talking about sex crimes. That is all before we start talking about covering up sex crimes.
I'm Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take Two. I came to social media 6.5 years ago to share my story living as a stay-at-home mom, homemaker, now they call it trad wife inside the Mormon church. My very first video was really almost a cry for help. I don't even know why I did it. I had just met with my therapist who had asked why I was a 45-year-old woman at the time who didn't have a college education, who had never had a job, had no way to take care of myself post-divorce. And for some reason, I just decided to send a cry for help out to the entire world by doing this little 60-second video about why, the details behind that circumstance.
How my Mormon state president made me be unemployed as a 22-year-old girl, which led to homelessness, food stamps, violent abuse, and a pretty fucked up life. Okay, so I was 22 years old, recently married, when I went in to have my Temple Recommend interview with our state president. And he asked me, what do you like to do all day? Well, I told him I hike, I love bunny rabbits and ice cream and world peace, and I work our windshield business about 50 to 60 hours a week. And I'm thinking about going back to college. And he was like, so then he told me that the family proclamation said that if I didn't quit my about going back to college. And he was like, so then he told me that the family proclamation said that if I didn't quit my job and stay home with my baby, that I would go to hell and totally fuck up my kid too. And he challenged us. He said, I want you to fast and pray about this, brother and sister Green. And next week, I'd like you to phase Sister Green out of the business. And so I quit my job, stayed with an abusive man for 24 years because I was unemployed and unemployable. And now I earn minimum.
I remember making that video and just thinking, if just like a couple young girls hear this, then they might change their minds about getting married and giving up their careers and all this stuff that I did. And that's all I was doing it for. Like, if I can just help a couple people. And most of my time here on social media has been helping women and really trying to shine a light on some of the traps that we fall into as women. And then Donald Trump.
Like so many of these people, they make good content, but when things are really going on in the community, you realize they're entertainers. They don't know any of these people. They don't care about any of these people. They don't pay attention to what's going on. They build these quote unquote communities around their channel. But then when survivors are in their chat going, hey, these atheist organizations are covering up sex crimes, she goes, oh, really? That sounds crazy. Send me the information. They send her the information and then she never says a word about it. Because again, they have to maintain their proximity to influence. And as soon as somebody from the team Nancy said, hey, you should pay attention to this, the flying monkeys were right behind Maya Atkinson. You can see it on the chat. I'll show y'all. Because the way this works around here is like, if you don't show people receipts, they act like you're just saying shit. So she's got these videos. I forget which one exactly it was. It was, I know it was probably one that made people think it was men are not safe. Maybe this was one. I don't know if this is the right one. I don't think it is. Oh my goodness, why can't I think of what that video was? Oh, it was the live stream with their fiance. Believe Women, this is the one. Ruben Gallego says believe women, this is the one. All right, here we go. So down here in this video, Faith says, hi, Jenny. I would love it if you spoke about what happened to fellow deconverted atheist YouTubers, Patti and Nancy from Apostate Sisters. It's unbelievable how the atheist YouTube community has responded to the abuse Nancy endured from one of the atheist event organizers. He is now elevated to being a poster boy for secular therapy, while Nancy has been pushed out of continuing her channel. If you have any questions, let me know. I don't think I can post a link, but if you look up the Apostate Sisters, you should see a video describing her experience. The goal isn't to bring shame to the atheist community, but to remember we need to deconstruct the principles behind Christianity and not be influenced by the MAGA standards of today, which is to erase women rather than believe them. Either way, much love to you and the work you are doing. And PC said, thank you, Becca. And she said, oh, wow, I hadn't heard of it. Will you email me if you have a link? And we have plenty of links, so I'm sure she was emailed. And then I said, in case anyone cares about the victims. So Maya said, these people are trouble. The victim they are speaking of, this is that same Maya Atkinson, the victim they are speaking of left the community to work on her marriage. They are using her absence as an excuse to enact a vendetta against a guy who has already been cleared by the police. They will tell you many things, but this woman already has a love and support network. She's never spoken to this small group, also not true, and certainly hasn't asked them to publicly expose one of the most stressful moments of her life. Remember, she's actually thanked us multiple times by name, privately. And then she says, please don't do anything without speaking to the victim, not her sister. Again, you can decide what you think she's trying to do there for yourself. And so I said, at Faith Exposed, at Life Take Two, in case anyone cares about the victim's actual words, and I say copied from her letter, I type this letter now as my final testament to the atheist community. While I've remained offline and in the shadows to try to pull my life back together after shutting down from the trauma, I'm coming back this one last time to say that, in all caps, my sister and I will not be silenced. While the community and our law enforcement have failed me, no one has destroyed me. And then I said, seems pretty clear to me that she'd like the community to address what happened to her and the bigger issues around safety within the community. And I said, there's a link in the description of many of my streams about this at Pocket Locker 86 on a playlist called This Community's Rotten to the Core, a name that proves truer every day. Drip, drip. Right? So, and then here comes another person, the Prophet of Fire. I want to echo what Maya said. Let's remember that being a family member does not exempt someone from being capable of abusive manipulation. And I said, let's remember the victim wrote a 10-page, all caps, notarized statement. The victim, not the sister, the victim, co-parter. This happened and you know it. People who keep blaming others instead of the man who threw her down the stairs and is hosting secular leadership classes are sick. Keep the same energy when more content creators uncover the truth. Keep this same energy. And I've said that, you know, the ops are really about it. Keep that same energy, Playboy, especially as these Christians become aware of what the atheists are up to and the Christians start making content about what the atheists are up to. Keep that same energy, Playboy. And then here Faith, she said, here they come already to protect the accused and push Nancy further down. And then here's Maya again as Faith. As usual, you have no idea what you're talking about, probably because you refuse to ask questions and push away all information that doesn't confirm your narrative. We've come here to see that the wishes of the victim aren't subverted by people like you who don't really care about her and have never spoken to her. Again, they just keep projecting. And again, they cut them all off in September. You saw a message on September 10th saying she hopes she never speaks to any of these people, but here they are telling the people that she has thanked that they're the ones speaking out in the wrong. Nancy has only ever spoken out for investigations, the investigations that you refuse to look at. Again, we've looked at them very closely. It's very telling, as close as we can. Most of it's been internal. It's very telling that she's not joining in your efforts to terrorize an entire community. And again, she wrote a 10-page notarized letter supporting us. So again, I don't know. They just keep projecting. And she said, I've spent hours and hours back and forth with AJ and I've heard nothing that would make it less likely that SR was violent with Nancy. I do, however, remember the description by 3 people of Nancy's state after she was left at the bottom of the stairs bruised. So again, Faith standing by what she said. And then this person says, you would love it. That's interesting. I wonder how the alleged victim would feel about it, though. And then Faith said, Nancy specifically asked for SR not to be platformed. Nancy specifically asked for SR not to be platformed. Have you brought this up with the atheist experience at all? Since you are so concerned about what she wants. We told you we ain't playing with these people in the streets. And then she says to Faith, I don't believe you've heard that directly from the alleged victim. And again, it doesn't matter. Because again, we have to always expose more. The victim is always under scrutiny, right? Oh, I didn't have this on the screen. Sorry. Let me switch over here. Sorry. But yeah, this has all happened in her comment section down here. It's a video called Ruben Gallego Says Believe Women. And you can go down and you'll see where Faith Exposed left the comment 3 weeks ago. And so, yeah, that was Faith saying, I'd love it if you talked about it. There's Pragmatic Crystal. There's Light. There's Jenny saying, oh, wow, I hadn't heard of it. Will you email me the link? And sends her the email address. There's my comment reading what Nancy actually said in the letter, asking the atheist community to talk about it. There's Maya's response saying these people are trouble. And then the back and forth with Prophet of Fire and the second Maya Atkinson comments. So you guys can go on Jenny's channel and read that. So that's what I mean. It's like, even when we reach out to content creators to say like, hey, this happened, could you please talk about it, right? We're responded to with, we're like, they're swarmed just for us asking somebody to pay attention to it, that person gets swarmed by the flying monkeys.
Trump got elected. And the minute he came into office, my whole
Oh
platform...
yeah, let me drop a link to that video. That's a good idea, actually, so it's easier for people to find. There we go. Oh, I'm on the wrong video now. All right, here we go.
has really drastically changed because we're all fighting now the giant cult that's in charge of America. I'm usually sitting in my studio talking about news and politics, and I've really gotten away from just sharing my story. And I miss that. So I'm going to bring back a couple videos where I just share, not because my story is unique, but honestly, in fact, because it's not unique, because so many women are living the same life right now that I used to live, because so many young women are going to fall into that same trap. And it's a collective story, not just of the Mormons and evangelicals and, you know, Jehovah's Witness, Amish, Mennonite women, so many other ultra-conservative women inside of MAGA, and that whole entire pipeline that leads to the alt-right and the life that the alt-right has in store for women, as we all can read about in the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, Project 2026, etc. I also share my same experience with so many women of past generations. My mom, my grandmothers, my aunts of an older generation. So my story is not unique in the challenges that I faced and the things that both harmed me and benefited me. So my story is not unique and I'm not special. I'm just a woman in America, and so many of us have been through the same things. Today, I just want to share a little bit about the incredible pressure to look a certain way inside a culture where women are valued mostly for how they attract men and having babies, and they don't have value outside of that very, very, very tiny box that they're pushed into as wife and mom. The quest to be thin wasn't just a hobby. It wasn't just a passive interest of mine. My entire life and all of eternity depended on it. Inside the Mormon church, we had a belief that man and woman couldn't go to heaven without one another. To be in the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, which was everybody's goal, to become like God, you had to be married with the new and everlasting covenant. I'll put some links in my description so that you can read up a little bit more about this. So I was literally taught from the time I was a very young child. I can remember being about 5 years old when they started to teach this in primary about eternal marriage, eternal family. We would sing little primary songs that taught us about families being together forever through Heavenly Father's plan. I know that a lot of other Christian religions teach till death do us part, and then when you die, you're just going to be single, you're worshiping God all by yourself as an independent, autonomous child of God. In Mormonism, the twain shall become one flesh, not just for this earth life, but for time and all eternity. That's what Mormonism is all about. I've been digging through my vast collection of diaries that I kept from age 8 so that I can publish some of those on my Substack. And as I read through some of my older diaries, it's really sad to see a 9, 11-year-old, 13-year-old girl obsessed with my looks. And that was always tied directly into finding an eternal companion.
I'm with you,
It was my
Ninja.
mission in life. It was everything that I lived for, because
Thanks, John.
I wanted to return to Heavenly Father again. I wanted to live in heaven. I wanted to have my family with me forever. And the step to getting there was attracting that man. There was an older single woman in my ward for a while growing up. And to me, she was the ultimate horror story. She didn't take care of her hair that much. She didn't wear makeup. She was on the higher end of the scale. And it was just heartbreaking to me as a young woman looking at her and thinking she doesn't have an eternal companion. She's not raising children. She's not fulfilling the only reason that she's here, which is to be a wife and a mom. And I knew that she wasn't going to be able to go to heaven because she didn't have that husband. And it's funny how much of my life I spent thinking about this woman and being so heartbroken for her, but also on the flip side of that, thinking I never want to let that happen to myself. And the reason that she's not married is that she just wasn't able to attract a husband. And I know that a lot of teenage girls go through phases where we are bothered by our bodies and our faces and our hair and all those things, and that quest to keep up with all the supermodels and all the pretty people that we see on camera. But for me, I had that, and on top,
Right? That pressure to keep up with all the pretty people we see on camera. Right? So are we replacing that? Are we challenging that? Are we doing better than that? Are we just saying the fastest route to cashola is more pretty people on camera? And then again, what is that saying to the women in our community if all they ever see is more pretty women on camera? So they left Christianity because that told them they weren't anything unless they were attractive enough to attract the husband. And now they're over here on the atheist, secular, humanist side of things. And all they ever see is pretty women on camera. But they never really see women in positions of power. They never really see us meaningfully focused and centered on women's issues, beyond maybe discussing them on a couple of broadcasts. Then we get to the part about covering up the sex crimes and nobody wanting to talk about a woman getting pushed down the stairs, sexually assaulted and strangled. But everybody instead is attacking the people who wanted to talk about it. Then the victim writes the victim writes a 10-page notarized statement. And again, they still don't take it seriously. Instead, the flying monkeys counter it with their own longer notarized statements. And the smear campaigns continue. And so the community watches. Smear campaign against the victim, smear campaign against the whistleblower, smear campaign against the teacher trying to talk about it on his channel. We have a problem.
top of that, that insane pressure that I was going to need to make sure that somebody would marry me. So I can remember.
All right, that's on top of the hypersexualization of the conference spaces. Polyamory classes, couple swapping, orgy rooms, fire dancers, couples comedy. Get your charm alarms for the deviant sex education at NanoCon. Is this feeling like a space that's safe for women yet to you? Because it's not feeling like that over here.
Even as a very young late elementary school girl, making decisions about, I'm not going to eat that ice cream that my grandma just gave me or the coconut cream pie that she has in the kitchen because I need to keep myself attractive. It didn't help that the Mormon Church released all kinds of videos and young women's lessons and other propaganda to support this narrative that women should be thin. Go watch this full video. This is really an eye-opener. I believe this was from my mom's generation, like the late 1960s, early 1970s. It's called Fat Fighters, and they interview all of these girls at BYU who are just not stick skinny. And the fat shaming, the just generalized body shaming in this video. That was my life.
About being sexy and stuff like that. It just scares me, and I don't want to have to go through that.
You don't want to be sexy.
I want to be kind of neuter, which is really big.
One of the major problems is the lack of dating activity. Most of the girls are not dating, and most of them don't want to. Lack of dating
I want to be kind of neuter, which is really big.
One of the major problems is the lack of dating activity.
Be kind of neuter, which is really big.
One of the major problems is the lack of dating activity. Most of the girls.
Which is really big.
One of the major problems is the lack of dating activity.
How do we end up here? We got a grown-ass white man sitting there listening to a woman try to tell her story about women's problems, and his first thing is, one of the major problems here is the lack of dating activity. One of the main problems with women is, they don't have a man. One of the main issues that women need to overcome, and it got nothing to do with their health, their wealth, their careers, their families, they travel, they recreation, they mental health, they serenity, they spirituality, they church, none of that. None of that. None of that. None of that. Hey, they ain't got a man. Hey, these women out here tripping, dog. The women ain't gonna never get right because they ain't got a man, dog. They ain't dating nobody. It's how you end up in an Epstein society.
Most of the girls are not dating, and most of them don't want to, because of their poor self-image and discouraging experiences. Deliberate efforts are
they
made
seem to not
develop
want to be
social
raped,
skills
exactly.
or special assignments, with the goal of improved rapport with the opposite sex.
Everybody's going to have a reason to be unhappy to some extent. But you're taking these reasons and using them as a basis of staying up there.
I'm not worried that I won't get married because I know I will.
Odd.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that's not my hang-up.
But Dawn, your past history and Karen's past history indicates that you're both in ruts.
That's true.
And if you don't get out of those ruts, you're going to be in them just like Marty's saying when you're married, as well as you're
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get out of my rut right now.
But part of the rut is not facing up to reality and not being honest.
That's right.
This
but I'm
is
trying to
awful.
get out of it.
Oh my
But
God.
you get very
this is
angry when somebody
torturous.
tries to help get you out, don't you?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I
it is
really want
painful.
to.
I didn't actually see it. I didn't even watch this. I just knew we had to have this conversation. But I wanted to react to this with y'all. Unfortunately, I'm also starving.
I really
This is
am trying.
crazy.
I think you are, because you keep coming in spite of it being painful.
Yeah, I come every week.
The girls are all on their way. Some have lost more weight than others.
This came from the church.
Oh,
That was just always
my
part of my life,
God.
and it really ran.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Jenny. That's rough. I am sorry.
Up when I went away to college. I started at what's now called BYU, Idaho. Back in the day, it was called Rick's College in 1992 when I was a 17-year-old girl. And yes, I was at college, so you'd think I was there to get an education. As Charlie Kirk talked about going to get your Mrs. degree, that's what the Mormon Church is always taught. Why do they even put young women in college? Why do they give them scholarships and things like that? So that there can be girls there for the returned missionaries to go marry. So
They told me the same thing. And I went to Penn State in 2004, and they still said, oh, a lot of women, they go to Penn State to get that MRS degree. Oh, she's just here for the MRS degree. They was saying, they still say it like that. Like, it's crazy.
I really wasn't focused on my education or what I'd ever do with it. And that was reinforced by counselors, by my college bishop, and the entire community. I was there to find my husband. And the flip side of that was the pressure that I had to make sure that I was attractive enough to bait the right husband to want to marry me. So in the months leading up to me going away to school, I wasn't concerned at all about talking to my counselor about what credits I could take that would transfer off to the next college, or what would be the most marketable job skills or anything like that at all. Not at all. Not in the least. My focus was how I looked. I started going to tanning salons all the time. That was like such a 1990s thing to do. I made sure that I saw a
No, I'm like, I'm going
hairstylist
to
right
bed
before I
after this.
left. I had a job so that I could save money for like the best
I can call
clothes,
you if
cute
you're
little
going to be up.
dresses and high heels, of course, all very modest, and had my teeth bleached for the very first time. Like I went to my dentist back in the day and had him bleach my teeth. And my whole entire emphasis was how I looked. And I had been trained throughout Young Women's to focus on all the wrong things, to focus on what was on the outside and how I was presenting to everybody else around me. And unfortunately, what they don't tell you is that that pressure to attract your partner doesn't stop when you get married. I guess I always kind of thought that, you know, once I get married and have kids, then I don't have to be, I think it was 98 pounds when I started college. I'm small. I'm only 5'3". I was naturally skinny anyway, but I was a string bean when I started college. But then you get married and have babies, and the pressure's on to keep that man interested in you because you don't have a job. You don't have anything else of value to your husband that you're bringing to the table. You're dependent. So in a lot of ways, Mormon husbands do see you as a liability. Like you got to bring it if you're going to have that sugar daddy taking care of you and the kids. I posted an article here this week on my Substack about my Mormon life, and I included this photo. This was me after having 4 children. In fact, this photo is just about 8 years ago right now. I was like 43 years old at the time, and I've had multiple comments about just how gaunt I look, and I look like I'm anorexic, and just really the thinness of this woman. I look very much like Ruby Frankie. I also get that a lot. I remember when
Yeah, and then the way that like elite women, like the celebrities and millionaires and billionaires, are then like making that a trend. Like, oh, that's the new in look. Like, oh, this is horrifying.
was in my late 30s, and we had moved to South Carolina. So for the first time in my life, I had a non-Mormon doctor. Not because I chose to have a doctor who wasn't Mormon, but because there just weren't any Mormon doctors available in the town. So I had this doctor that was non-Mormon, and one of the first questions that he asked me when I went in for a physical was if I had an eating disorder, because I was about 10 pounds under the average. And I asked him if he ate at McDonald's. This was my response. And he's like, yeah, I prefer Burger King, but yes, I do. And I said, well, you have an eating disorder. I consider that very disordered eating. My eating is very orderly. And the funny thing is that at the time, I would have never thought that I had any type of eating disorder, wouldn't have considered that in the least. If somebody had diagnosed me with that, I would have thought that they were absolutely crazy. And I didn't necessarily have something that would fall under diagnostic criteria for an eating disorder. What I had was, at that point, like 40 years inside the Mormon church, where literally every bite of food that went into my mouth, I considered what the results were going to be. And if I had a day that I woke up and my size 00 jeans after 4 babies didn't fit me just so when I was 102 pounds as a 40-year-old woman, then I would make sure that I just did a water fast for a couple of days. And I was vegetarian for years. That morphed into veganism. And finally, eventually, for the last 3 years before my divorce, I would be a raw vegan, living almost exclusively on sprouted nuts. And what did I even eat? I ate air and good vibes. One funny thing from my wife era in general, not necessarily raw veganism. I don't know. Maybe this isn't funny. Maybe this is just sad. But how long it took me to grocery shop. Because if I was picking up like a new box of organic crackers that I'd never purchased before, I would have to look at every single ingredient, count all the calories, do the math on that. How much fat is in this? What type of fat is it? And is this even worth me putting in my mouth? I had this little saying that I said all the time: nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And I would say that in my head all the time. Anytime I was like after dinner, but I didn't eat after dinner before bedtime. And I do a little intermittent fasting here and there too, when that became a thing. I would say that to myself when I was hungry, when my hands were shaking, when I was out at the park with the kids and I felt like I couldn't even push the stroller over to the slides. I'd be craving, just give me a granola bar. A granola bar would feel so good right now. And I would say to myself, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I think it's sad too to see today on social media all of the stick skinny Mormon girls that are still out there. Ballerina Farm has the body of a 14-year-old, and she has 9 babies, and she just had a baby, and she's just popped right back into that little teeny skinny figure. Taylor Frankie Paul, who has just left the Mormon church, so she's not officially Mormon anymore. She is so tiny. I know she doesn't come across as so little on camera. She's very thin, but in real life, she's just tiny. She's so stick skinny. All of the girls on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and most of the LDS influencers that you see, they have all of the trademark Mormon stuff, the Utah curls, the bleached teeth, the eyelashes, the Botox, the lip flip, the breast implants, and everybody has mommy makeovers after they've had their babies because they can't have that little bit of a pooch, because again, their only value is keeping that husband attracted. Because if he's not in love with her and he just decides this marriage is over, then what? She's going to end up like I did at age 44, homeless, years of poverty after that, and everything that was supporting her is gone if that husband doesn't stick around. And for those of you who comment about, Jenny, you look so much healthier and happier now, totally happier, so much so. And as far as the weight gain, like I've gained 75% of my former weight since I left the Mormon church, simply because I didn't have that pressure to be thin and keep my husband interested in me. I remember when me and my beautiful partner, Kevin, were first dating, like it was one of the first weekends that he spent at my house. And at like midnight, we were just watching movies in bed and whatever. And he asked if I had any ice cream in my fridge. And my first reaction was at midnight, like I don't need those type of calories. But I was just in this like enjoy life type of mode. So we went out to the kitchen and grabbed big bowls and did banana splits with, caramel sauce and fudge all over the top, and sat in bed at midnight eating ice cream. And it's funny that was probably the first time in my life that I'd ever done that, ever. And I was like 45 plus years old. And since not having that pressure of the Mormon culture, that quest to keep my husband happy, the pressure from Jake directly, who watched me like a hawk to make sure that I stayed exactly the way that he wanted me to stay, and just the stuff in my head, the programming from childhood and everything that I had never let go of. As soon as all of that evaporated, I decided to just eat. And it's funny, it's 7 years now since I left the church, and Kevin and I have been together for almost 7 years. And to this day, if I sit down to just like eat a sandwich at lunch, just whatever sandwich I want, and yes, I still eat a very healthy diet, but if I just sit down and eat until I'm full, I will still talk about it feels so good to be full, because my whole entire life I was always hungry. And I was always hungry.
Wow.
I was hungry because I had to look hot to get to heaven. And in so many ways, it feels like that should be illegal. Like, how do religious organizations get away with telling children that they have to attract a mate? Like, here you are in church and you're falling in love with Jesus and you're buying into the whole eternal life thing and you want to go to the celestial kingdom. Well, let me tell you how you do that. You have to be really pretty so that you can get a husband. How is that legal? It seems like child abuse to me, and it was experienced as child abuse to me. That's what it felt like. It was soul crushing. My nickname for years was Skinny Jenny, and I guess now I would just change that to Happy Jenny. And a lot of the reason why I'm in that space now is leaving the doctrines. I don't think that I would ever have gotten over that. I would still be 102 pounds today if I hadn't left the Mormon church. And of course, the other aspect of that is having value outside of how I look. That's not all I bring to the table with my partner now. There's so much more. So I guess I'd like to bear my testimony that decentering men, decentering the man gods and the man scriptures and everything that they teach you is the secret to happiness. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I'd like to hear from you. Did you grow up in a community where your looks were valued above everything else, and the only thing anybody wanted out of you was a pretty face and a toned body, glossy hair, and bright smile? If so, tell me about it in the comments. And if you have transitioned beyond that, tell me what led to your life take 2. Thanks for watching, everyone. Mwah.
So yeah, that's where we're at, and yeah, I really hope that those watching, especially those that happen to be Christians and are kind of getting caught up on what's been going on, can sort of see some of these problems that we've been dealing with. And it was a really tough realization to realize that all of this is going on and all of this is happening in a community that became so important to us. But here we are. And like I said, we need your help. Tomorrow I'll be on S.J. Thomason's channel, Truth Matters with S.J. Thomason. And then, you know, also please check out Bread of Life, Rebekah Davis's channel, where she's been covering Nano CON as well. If you want more, there's links in the description. Please read Nancy's statement. You can also watch the Apostate Sisters Channel to find more about what happened to Nancy over there. And like I said, there's a playlist on my channel. There's a playlist on Pragmatic Crystal's channel. Kyle's got some videos. Filbert's got a couple videos. Becca, Faith Exposed, made a great video. So there's plenty of stuff out there. Thank you for your attention. Really appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.